Rough Riders came on strong. The normally invincible Doug Flutie was almost powerless at times. Curtis Mayfield's touchdown in the fourth quarter closed in on the Argos' 23-20 lead. And a big catch by Dan Farthing set up the winning Rider touchdown. Don Matthews' hopes of going 18-0 were crushed. In Hamilton, the focus is on Don Southern. His job is on the line, and he desperately needs a win tonight. His number one QB, Anthony Cavillo, is hurting. And an inexperienced Mike Colley is at the reins. It will be a tough one. Both teams need a win. Hamilton and Toronto coming up. From Skydome in Toronto, it's the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Toronto Argonauts on CFL Live. Reminder, we are live and interactive here at TSN, so if you like, get on the net and play QB1 throughout this football game. Hello again and welcome to CFL Live. I'm Rod Smith. We begin week 4 with round 2 between the rivals. The Hamilton Tiger Cats now 0-3. The Toronto Argonauts now 2-1 after losing last week in Saskatchewan. You know, it was just 11 days ago at Ivor Stadium. The Ticats gave the heavily favored Argos a pretty good game, losing by 5. Well, much more pressure is on the Cats now, and without a win, there could be some changes. No change to the panel, of course. The gang's all here. The coach, Bob Obilovich, Les Brown, Marty York of the Globe and Mail. Not only do the Argos lose this game, they have that incentive that works against Hamilton, but also the Ticats have to deal with a quarterbacking change. With that and more, let's head to Skydome now and join John Wells and Glenn Sutter.
Rod, story number 1, as everyone knows, the Hamilton Tiger Cats are a desperate football team. Story number 2, Don Southern is forced to go with a rookie at quarterback. Tall odds facing Mike Colley as he starts for the first time tonight.
Well, John, Anthony Cavillo definitely out for at least this week. He not only has a bruised onion, but he also slightly pulled his hamstring, so it'll be up to Mike Colley. And there's his credentials. And interestingly enough, Mike Colley in his first year in college actually went to Syracuse. He was behind Kevin Mason and Marvin Graves. Of course, Mason in Saskatchewan, Graves the backup here in Toronto. He realized he wasn't going to get playing time there, so transferred to James Madison and broke all their records.
So there's a guy from a no-name college in the United States studying for the Ticats tonight. On the other side of the ball, the Argonauts offense has struggled in the last 2 games, and really it was the Tiger Cats 11 days ago that found a way to stall Flutie.
And what they're doing, John, is they're playing a zone defense and just sending 4 or 3 at Doug Flutie. But the key in the pass rush, whether it's 3 or 4 guys, is the ends. They have to be controlled and keep Doug Flutie in the pocket. Hamilton had success, and so did Saskatchewan with Bobby Jurison and Troy Alexander also keeping Flutie in the pocket for most of the night. Now, it does 2 things. One, Flutie can't go out and scramble all over the place, and the other thing it does is it makes Doug Flutie throw to the wide receivers, and that's something he doesn't like to do.
Simply put, the Tiger Cats have to play error-free football to get the heat off their head coach, Don Southern, at Skydome tonight.
All right, thank you, John. Yes, the heat is on Don Southern. Not only is the team losing, but he has had to contend with a lot of the media reports actually started here in this very studio by Marty York, and that cannot be easy on Sudsy, to be sure. This could be his final game. That's what they're saying, Obi. How, as a coach, did you in the past, do you deal with this type of pressure?
Well, this has to come right from day 1 in training camp. Don Southern has been talking to his players all year. He's been trying to emphasize to them what it takes to win. This game's a critical game for him, and I think what it is, it's a case where the players have to show that they have the respect for the head coach, and they're going to go out there and play as hard as they possibly can.
Well, Coach, as a player or on a player's perspective, I know players go out and they play 110% no matter what. And now they've been reading the papers as well. Now they know that Don's job is on the line. I got a feeling that they'll rally behind this man and play like they've never played before tonight. But they do want some solidification as to what's going to happen on that offensive side of the ball.
Well, Les, let me tell you, as a reporter, I can tell you that I talked to several of the players yesterday, and I can guarantee you that they're not so thrilled about the idea of continuing to play with Don Southern as their head coach. They've been questioning him and his philosophy since day one of training camp, and I think they'd like to see a change.
Marty, I got a feeling that all that's right, but these guys aren't going to go out and mess up their own game because of Don's job. Because when they look at Don and said Don Sutherland got fired because of Les Brown played terrible,
right.
I don't believe that's going to
I agree with you, Les. I'm not saying that they're going to lay down, but I do think that they want to change.
There is no argument, though, that the heat is on Don Southern. I mean, no debate at all. But the odds say this win he so desperately needs will not happen tonight, doesn't it?
You're right, Rod. The odds in Vegas have favored the Argos by 16 points. I hate to lay that many points, but if there was ever a case to do it, this game tonight might be it. If you think about it, the Ticats are in total disarray, and they must rely on a raw rookie at quarterback. And all week they've been distracted about the news that we just talked about Southern. And then they have to face the Grey Cup champions in Toronto. And you can be sure the Argos will be trying to make amends for that embarrassing loss in Regina last week. So, take the Argos, lay the points, and say see ya to Sudsy.
Well, one thing that Don Southern can hang his hat on, perhaps, the Ticats always seem to play well at Skydome. Their last regular season game there, they won by 2 points. But, of course, that was about a year ago in their opening game, and that's when Matt Dunnigan was the quarterback of the team. Tonight, it is a rookie, Mike Colley, getting the start for the Tabbies. They need a win badly. Psyched up to get it. Hamilton, Toronto, the kickoff is coming up next.
It's the second meeting of the season for the Tiger Cats and the Argos. Toronto held on for a 5-point win 11 days ago at Ivor Wynne. The Argos are angry after blowing a lead last week. Cats desperate after 3 straight losses. The lid is open, clear skies over Skydome on a warm summer night. Hamilton head coach Don Southern needs a break here.
He certainly does. Uphill battle for him, coming in 0-3 and with a rookie quarterback in Mike Colley. But Don Southern knows one thing. He doesn't have to fire his team up for this game against Toronto.
Don Matthews will try and figure out why his much ballyhooed offense has looked so ordinary 2 weeks in a row, and his defense has given up more big plays. That's what's on the line for the Tiger Cats, a team desperately seeking its first win of 1997. We're underway with Aaron Ruffin on the return, number 32 for the Tiger Cats, out near the 42-yard line. Tonight's starting lineups are brought to you by Midas. Rookie quarterback Mike Colley leads the Hamilton offense in his first CFL start. He played last week, drove for a touchdown, and then fired 3 interceptions in relief of Anthony Calvillo. Another new receiver is added to the Hamilton offense this week to join Mike Colley in his first start. It'll be 1st and 10 Tiger Cats at the 45. Amerson got the call and has 3 yards. Archie Amerson playing his second game for Hamilton. The new receiver is Charlie Simmons in his first CFL start. Archie Amerson impressive in his debut last Friday. And up front, Peter Shorts makes his 3rd start at right tackle for the Tiger Cats. Gain is 3. This will be 2nd and 7. Hamilton from the Ticat 48. 3 receivers to the far side of the field. As Colley gets set, rolling to his right, he'll have to hurry away from the first wave and finally down. Wrapped up by Demetrius Maxey.
John, I guarantee you what coaches say when you get a rookie quarterback is send a lot of people, and you see Ken Benson, number 37, from the top of your screen coming on the blitz. That flushes Mike Colley out of the pocket, and Demetrius Maxey cleans them up. But I guarantee you that Don Matthews will send a lot of pressure at the rookie quarterback tonight.
Paul Osbaldiston will kick to the pinball. Mike Clemens trying to rebound from a couple of fumbles last week in Saskatchewan. Big charge, and Osbaldiston goes down. So does a flag. as the pinball waits for it to bounce into his hands at the 31-yard line. He's surrounded there and wrapped up quickly by number 53, Joe Montford. And Osbaldiston is hurt after a 40-yard punt. He took a pretty good hit after getting that one away.
George Nemeko hit him hard as he tried to get that punt off, and did successfully, because the rush was coming hard. Some missed assignments up front.
Roughing the kicker, Toronto number 21, first down.
You see the overload there to the left. Now watch the hit that Osbaldiston takes from George Nemeko right there in his up leg as he submarines Paul Osbaldiston, and he is still on the field and injured. The rule is, if you're coming to block a punt, if you get your hands on it, you can contact the kicker, but George Nemeko obviously didn't do it there, and will cost his team a first down.
Just what Don Southern needs to begin the ball game. Osbaldiston has struggled at times this season as a field goal kicker, and in the first game had some difficulties with Montreal and the return game. So his punting average has not been up there where it usually is.
Well, right now, John, they're holding his head and looking at his ribs.
There was a block punt charged to Osbaldiston earlier in the season.
This is versus Winnipeg last week, and Winnipeg just sent everybody on the block, and Kelsey Perrin picked this one and he took it all the way into the end zone. And really, sometimes it's between whether or not the kicker gets it off on time and in timing, or whether or not there's missed assignments up front. But you can bet that Don Matthews, who knows special teams well, looked at that game tape and said, listen, they may be susceptible to a block, and sure enough went after it on the first one.
I don't know if there is a backup kicker listed on that Hamilton depth chart of yours.
Well, this is
We'll take another look here.
Yeah, this is definitely schemed, John. This is set up prior to the game by Don Matthews and Darryl Adralin, the special teams coach, to overload one side and see if Hamilton can adjust and pick it up. But George Nemeko just did not touch that football, and submarine Paul Osbaldiston looks like he went and grabbed his ribs. See the overload to the right of the screen. George Nemeko breaks through.
Missed the ball, got the kicker. As a result, the Ticats get the ball right back and begin this series near the 55, right about midfield, about a yard shy of that. First down, Ticats. Thomas gets the call. That's Marcus Thomas for 6.
Well, defensively for Toronto, one change. Rob Waldrop is out of the lineup with a bit of a pulled groin. He will be replaced by Eric Johnson. Now, this is how they're going to line it up, though. Demetrius Maxey, Andrew Stewart, Oscar Giles, and Reggie Gibbons will move up to rush in. And in the secondary, Adrian Smith and Marcelo Simmons anchor that group from the corners.
2nd and 4, the pitch to Amerson. He cuts the corner around the right side and is stopped and stopped short of a first down. He needed 4. He got 1.
Well, Ken Benson's going to be involved along with Michael O'Shea and the newcomer Eric Johnson on being very active, blitzing and canceling gaps. And you see great flow by that Toronto defense, who right now is ranked 4th in the Canadian Football League in stopping the run. That's up from where they were when they finished last year, where they finished 6th.
Well, Ozzy's back. He got the penalty. Got a little attention out there, and he's ready to go again. We'll watch the charge this time on Osbaldiston. He got the kick away, but threw a roughing penalty. And this time he sails it deep for pinball. Inside the 10. He's wrapped up about there and called down. First man down made the tackle on pinball Mike Clemens after a 2-yard return. Ozzy's back. There's no score at Skydo.
The CFL Live on TSN is brought to you by Advantage, providing solutions for business. And by Gatorade. Life is a sport. Drink it up.
Anthony Calvillo, the Ticats' #1 quarterback, watching this from the sidelines after suffering a concussion last week, but you say it's his hamstring that's keeping him out.
Well, I talked to Don Southern. He said, yes, he does have a slight concussion, but the worst part of his injuries, and the reason he's not playing tonight, is because he has a bit of a hamstring.
He'll watch Doug Flutie operate the Toronto Argonaut offense. Flutie has struggled at times in the last couple of weeks against the Riders and against the Ticats. Don Matthews says, though, he is 100% healthy and ready to go tonight. From the 10-yard line on first down, Flutie looks to put it up, and he's on target to Demtrition. Out to the 35, nifty 26-yard gain as Demtrition hauls in his 5th pass of the season. A penalty down, however, and it's procedure against the Argonauts.
Procedure, Toronto number 88, repeat first down.
So Mazzotti ruins a nice 26-yard gain for the other outside receiver, Wayne Demtrition.
Paul Mazzotti right in here is the one who's called on the offside. Just gets a bit of a jump on the ball.
First and 15 Argos back at the 5-yard line now. Flutie to his right. Got a little heat. Andre Kerwin makes the catch, but he's short of the first down. Oh, hang on. He's got it. 16 yards.
Well, this is typical Don Matthews and Doug Flutie, actually. They come into the game plan telling everybody in the media and everyone in town that Michael Saunders will be the starting slot back. Well, Michael Saunders isn't on the field right now, and Andre Kerwin is, and he's the one who just caught that one. Doug Flutie is going to try and mix it up and get it to them on the inside.
It is an Argonaut first down. Flutie to the far side. And he has Robert Drummond, who bulls his way for an extra yard or two. In the grasp of Eric Carter. Mike Saunders supposedly making his Argonaut debut sometime tonight. Have you seen him out there yet?
He hasn't been out there yet.
I didn't think so. But Clemens and Drummond have in the backfield. The offensive line is intact for the 4th straight week. Jaskis, Payne, Kiselak, Vershavel, and Williams. I don't know about those starting lineups when they changed them up.
Don Matthews pulled a fast one on us.
2nd and 6. Flutie to his left this time. And he has the pinball. Mike Clemens. That'll be enough for a first down. Wrapped up by Aaron Ruffin. Gain is 7 yards. Nobody took the fumbles in Saskatchewan harder than this guy, number 31.
Yeah, a couple of key fumbles for Mike Clemens on returns, and for the last one, he almost broke that in Saskatchewan. Would have been a big play for his team, put the ball on the ground. But you know that he is a professional and will get fired up to get ready to compete in the next game, and that's exactly what he's going to do.
Your old pal Rasevich recovered one of those, and there's a good story to go along with that, folks. We'll get to it later. Flutie on first down. Clemens coming out of the backfield. Markers are down as Clemens turned it upfield and grabbed an extra 4 yards. Don't let me forget the fumble story at Taylor Field last week. 9 yards for the pinball.
Face mask, Hamilton number 98, first down.
Mike Campbell, an ex-Argo. So add a few more yards to the Argonaut total on this drive. Face masking call against Campbell.
Well, I talked a little bit about it at the beginning, John, but you know that Don Southern does not have to fire up Hamilton ever to play here in Toronto. They can do that on their own, and you know they're overly aggressive right now.
Andre Kerwin to the near side. On first down, Toronto. 2 other receivers out his way, and Flutie looks in this direction. Another first down as he finds Daryl Mitchell, who is the leading Toronto receiver so far in 97 and has 14 more.
Well, he comes into the game with 147 yards and a touchdown. Nothing fancy, just going to run a quick outbreak on Alondo Stanauer. But the key on that play is the fact that Daryl Mitchell turns and the ball is delivered on time. And Doug Flutie looks like he is right on time tonight.
Another penalty against the Tiger Cats, setting Toronto up at the 40-yard line. Mitchell had enough for the first down anyway. It was the Tiger Cat defense that kept Hamilton close 11 days ago at Ivor Wynn. Flutie shotgun. Handed it out for Robert Drummond, number 29. Gain is 2. And the Ticat defense will have to have some kind of night to hold Toronto.
There's your front seven. Joe Mumford and Gonzalo Floyd will have to be patient from the defensive end position and try and keep Flutie in the pocket. And in the secondary, Eric Carter leads the way. He has a couple knockdowns so far this year. One of the best cover men in the Canadian Football League.
This drive began for the Argonauts back at the 10-yard line. In 7 plays, they're inside the Hamilton 40. On second down, Flutie over the middle has Mitchell. He'll score. Darryl Mitchell.
Darryl Mitchell reads his own defense and comes across the middle. This has been a problem for Toronto in the last 2 games. Receivers have had trouble reading the inside receivers, but not so far tonight for Doug Flutie. He sees a conversion by Darryl Mitchell. You see the big dead area in the middle, but Rob Hitchcock is gone from the safety position. Mitchell reads it, comes across, picks up the Flutie pass, and makes it look pretty easy running into the end zone. But this has been the problem for Toronto in the last 2 weeks. Receivers converting when they see the defense in front of them.
Vanderjack makes it 7-0. Darryl Mitchell has his 3rd touchdown of the season. The Argos have a 7-0 lead on the hated Ticats at Skydome. Darryl Mitchell is off to a great start in his CFL career. 1 more tonight for a total of 3 on the season. 2 catches in the drive for over 50 yards. The Argos on top. 7-0 in the Ticats. A return game has been a problem for Hamilton, too. They really haven't been able to get big returns. It would be timely right now. Aaron Ruffin escapes. Has a little bit. 2 decent returns for Aaron Ruffin. He used to do a pretty good job of that in Saskatchewan. 30 yards there. Flutie 6 for 6 and 88 yards in the drive.
Well, this is a difference. Now, Gonzalo Floyd right here is going to get pretty good contain on Doug Flutie, but the difference between this play and what's happened the last couple of weeks for Flutie is his receiver read it. There's a little bit of a pressure situation from Gonzalo Floyd, but because his receiver read the defense and got open, Flutie could deliver the ball. The last 2 games, Doug Flutie's had to hold the ball too long, and that's why the pressure's got to him.
Flutie has been perfect so far. It's Mike Colley's turn now for the Ticats. As Thomas, and Thomas is wrapped up quickly by Andrew Stewart. The gain is 2 yards. Argos began the drive back on their own 10-yard line. Took a penalty and then restarted it from the 5. 8 plays to cover 100 yards in 4:12.
John, I talked to Doug Flutie before the game. He asked me this. He said, when was the last time I've lost 2 games in a row? He was fired up for this one after last week in Regina.
That's all bad news for the Tiger Cats. They're just trying to get a little something going. Colley on 2nd and 8. He ran well last week, and he'll get a first down. Slowed by Johnny Harris, number 7. A 13-yard gain for Mike Colley.
Don Southern has asked Mike Colley to run first, pass second. So you know when he finds a lane or sees an opening, he's going to take off and try and pick up some yardage. He's a good running quarterback. He did it a lot in college, had some success with it. He's a very strong runner, and Don Southern says he runs a 4.4 in the 40-yard dash, which is...
That's a quick quarterback, is it not?
Very.
Good fake there as Amerson got the call. Archie Amerson was the top offensive player for the Tiger Cats against Winnipeg last Friday night. Picked up 4 yards.
Last Friday, he had 7 carries for 21 yards on the ground, and he caught 5 balls as well and was the Ticats' offensive player of the game. So not a bad debut for Archie Amerson.
This is 2nd and 6 Ticats. The motion to the right. Colley stands in, looks deep, has Amerson open, and overthrew him.
tell you what I liked on the play, John, is Mike Colley. Mike Colley does a super job of stepping up in the pocket and avoiding the rush. And believe me, when there's guys flying around there, this takes some confidence and poise to be able to do it. You can see Ken Benson from the top coming around the corner, and Colley felt the pressure, steps up, has the poise, and just overthrows his receiver a little bit, but
had to hurry it just a touch and overthrew Amerson, who would have had to have made a pretty good catch. The coverage was fairly tight, but he was in behind the defender as Pinball awaits the punt from Osbaldiston. Bit of a knuckler low and bouncing away from Clemens. Ticats should have this well covered. Pinball squirted through for about 7 yards on the return. Stopped by Lee Knight for 1. A 41-yard punt. The Argos first and 10 when we return. It's easy to do. Glenn Suter asked, and we brought him on 2 years ago.
well, I heard that's how Marty got on.
Marty advertised. Here's Gino eavesdropping.
John, just a couple of minutes ago, right after the Argonauts finished their offensive drive with the touchdown, Don Southern called his DBs aside and said, guys, look, Flutie's going to try to go for a lot of quick passes tonight. Let's get up, press him a little. Of course, the problem with that is, as soon as you start pressing him at the line of scrimmage, Flutie can go deep on you.
And looking to the near side this time, Flutie well off target, looking for Dwayne Demtrition. Flutie was a little disappointed with his performance in Saskatchewan last week. 236 yards is not typical Doug Flutie stat, is it?
Absolutely not. I mean, Flutie, only 5 times as a Toronto Argonaut has he been under 250 yards passing, and that was one of them. And that is not typical Doug Flutie, but credit to the Saskatchewan defense last week, who had a heck of a game plan and executed it well.
Flutie looks at 2nd and 10 at the Argonauts 13. A little heat here, and he had to rush that one. Flutie was sacked 3 times last week. Joe Montford got through that time, number 53.
We talked about it in the opening. Joe Mumford and Gonzalo Floyd's responsibility in contain. Mumford makes an inside move, but has the quickness to get outside, and he's just lucky, for Hamilton's sake, that he didn't get a face mask call there.
No sack, but enough heat to force a hurried throw and a 3rd down situation. The Argonauts are punting. Wilhite and Steinauer. This is Orlando Steinauer. Little spin move, didn't fool O'Shea or Raposo. 3 yards on the return after a 41-yard kick.
Well, Mike Colley in training camp this year, an interesting story, just to tell you a little bit about what kind of personality this guy has. There's always the phantom in training camp. Anthony Calvillo probably part of that when he's in there. You try and mess with the rookies to see how they're going to react. Well, it happened in training camp as well, and Mike Colley stood up when it happened to him and said, listen, I'll take you all on at once or one at a time, but that's going to stop. That's the kind of guy he is.
He's feisty.
Yeah.
He's tough. He loves to run. He's looking at 1st and 10 inside Toronto territory. Colley, a chance to escape away from Mike O'Shea. What a great run by the quarterback, heading out of bounds. And that's what Don Sutherland was looking for.
Yeah. We talked about it already. He said run first, pass second, and you saw the speed of Mike Colley on the play, because Michael O'Shea, one of the best open field tacklers from the middle linebacker position in the game, has him dead to rights right there and loses the angle as Mike Colley takes off to the outside. That's pretty good coverage. Watch Michael O'Shea. I mean, he's quick, but look at the speed.
Colley just blew by O'Shea for a 22-yard gain. Ticats have something going at the Argo 25. Archie Amerson out left tackle, big opening, and down to the 5-yard line. I was really impressed with Amerson last week.
Well, great job of pulling around and leading up in there. I believe it's right here. Blaine Schmidt is leading up into the hole, pulling. Actually, excuse me, it's Peter Shorts from the outside who leads up in. But watch the block right there on Eric Johnson to spring Archie Amerson for the big yardage. A great block upfield from Peter Shorts.
A 19 7-yard gain. Ticats set up first and goal to go at the Argo 6. Amerson again. No, hang on. The fake as Colley looks to the end zone and has his first touchdown toss. What a great fake by Colley as Ashonde Smith made the catch and has his first CFL touchdown.
Well, first of all, again, it starts with Mike Colley, who in his first start for the Hamilton Ticats shows a tremendous amount of poise to stand in there because Ken Benson had him, and he stood in there. Watch the play fake. Now, that got Oscar Giles, but it didn't get Ken Benson, who stays to the outside. Now, Mike Colley has the poise to throw it in there and throws the strike to Ashonde Smith, who had to fight off Marcelo Simmons.
Marcelo Simmons has been beaten a couple of times of late, twice in Saskatchewan last week. Jude St. John is the injured Ticat. But there's a little something to celebrate at the Hamilton bench. 2 great runs, Amerson, and prior to that, the quarterback, Mike Colley, to get the Ticats down to the 6-yard line. And then Colley with a great play-action fake, setting up Ashonde Smith.
Well, I just like the poise, John. I mean, here's a rookie quarterback. I mean, nice play fake, first of all, then the patience. Look at this. A lot of quarterbacks in their first start would panic when they saw that linebacker standing in front of them, but not Mike Colley. He stood in there and threw a strike to the outside.
Pittsburgh tough. He's Steeltown tough.
Well, you know, he's from the Pennsylvania area. There's been some great quarterbacks come out of that area.
Well,
the
name
CFL,
2.
Ron Lancaster and Joe Zuger, to name a couple
name
pretty
2
good
in
ones.
the NFL.
Okay, you want a couple there? Jim Kelly, Johnny Unitas, and Joe Montana.
And Terry Bradshaw.
All came from the same area. Must be something in the water. Pennsylvania.
7-7. Ashonde Smith with his first CFL touchdown reception has the Ticats back to even with the Argonauts at Skydome. Critical night. And a brilliant opening drive, or a brilliant touchdown drive for Mike Colley. He had a couple of opportunities earlier and really never moved the Tiger Cats.
Well, you know, I mean, a lot of people in Hamilton have been worried about having Mike Colley start, obviously, as the rookie quarterback, but he's not one of them. I mean, he said through the whole week of practice that he's confident. He's an aggressive young man who says, hey, I'm real excited about the opportunity, and I'd like it to be Toronto. Best defending Grey Cup champions.
3 plays to cover 47 yards. The quarterback took it almost half of the distance. Archie Amerson, another 16 yards, and then Ashonde Smith, the final 6 on the reception. Pretty good numbers for 6 carries in Canadian football for Mike Colley. So the Argo response, Glenn Suter, is going to be a little interesting here. Mike Clemens on the return. Good head of steam for the pinball. A big hit by Joe Montford. The pinball knows that
you want to play
Joe
on special teams, John? You want to play on special teams? Okay, Joe Mumford's going to cover this kick and hit pinball. Have a listen to this one. Wow. Oh, yikes.
6'1", 232 pounds, Joe Montford.
Get the number
on
of
the
that
pinball.
truck. Wow.
Ticat defense staring at Flutie and company set up at the 32-yard line. Flutie can't find anyone open. Throwing on the run and found Drummond, who couldn't make the catch near midfield. Carter was with him and just let him go after the ball that was drifting out of bounds. There was heat on Flutie again.
Yeah, there was, and it was same thing for Doug Flutie the last couple of weeks. No conversions from the receiver. You see to the left of your screen the big dead area. No receiver for Toronto in that play. Read the zone and found the soft spot. So Flutie had to hold it, and then try to get it to the outside to Drummond.
2nd and 10 Argos at the Toronto 32. It's 7-7 at Skydome with the Ticats in town. Flutie nailed at the 30-yard line. Gonzalo Floyd, a big play guy for the Tiger Cats. Gets to the Argo quarterback for the first time.
Oh, John, I'll tell you one thing. Gonzalo Floyd and Joe Mumford do a nice job. Watch 53. He's getting double-teamed by Demtrician and Robert Drummond, but still is able to keep containment on Doug Flutie. That flushes him back into the middle, right into the arms of Gonzalo Floyd.
Loss of 2, a sack for Gonzalo Floyd. And a punting situation for the Argonauts. Vanderjack dropping it down for Ken Wilhite. Stops at the 50. Let's bring in Gino Retta with an injury report.
Well, guys, right now the Argonauts are a little bit concerned with their offensive line. That's why they're getting so much pressure on Doug Flutie right now, is the fact that both Willie Williams and Pierre Verchevel, the left tackle and left guard, are presently out of the game with cramps. Verchevel's on the bench with his thigh wrapped, and Williams is actually in the dressing room right now. They're trying to get the cramps worked out of their thighs, and they're trying to get them. You see them back now. They're back on the sidelines, but they're trying to get them back out there as quickly as possible. That is a lot of strength out of their lineup on the left side of the O-line.
Couple of veterans there on first down. Hamilton. Amerson gets the call again. Can't get around Benson. And O'Shea was trailing on the play to help out with a tackle.
Well, this is a pretty quick, aggressive defense for the Argos, and Ken Benson has been involved early, blitzing and flowing to the football, but that time they just strung Archie Amerson out on that play, and that allowed Michael O'Shea and Ken Benson to rally to the football.
Still a 5-yard gain. Amerson on the sideline, slightly shaken up. That puts Mike Morielli in the offensive scheme for the Tiger Cats. Right on midfield with a second down. Hawley can't get away this time. Wrapped up by Andrew Stewart, number 73.
Andrew Stewart, second sack of the season, and this time he was probably told he's right here, just going to work up here. He's probably told that the whole defensive line were told at the break to have a little bit more control in their pass rush lanes, not get upfield quite as far, and that time Andrew Stewart just slid underneath and picked up Mike Cauley for the sack.
4 sacks in 96. Andrew Stewart is a real key to the Argonaut defense from BC as a free agent. Last year, 18 starts, a member of the Grey Cup team. Andrew Osbaldiston on third down. No ill effects, apparently, from being hit earlier. Mike Clemens has a nice seam, breaking this time across the 45 out to the 50 and nailed there at the 50-yard line. Great tackle on the final play of the opening quarter as the pinball looks a little upset that he didn't take it all the way. Pretty good first quarter here at Skydome. Let's get back to CFL control.
CFL Live at the Quarter is brought to you by Midas for new, longer-lasting carbon metallic brake pads.
Rod Smith back with Obi, Les, and Marty, and the Ticats making it a game so far, and tied this thing up on a good drive by Mike Cauley. But Les, we saw before that some textbook Doug Flutie marching them down 6 for 6. We didn't see much of that at Ivor Wynne 11 days ago. What did he do differently against the Ticat
even
defense?
against Saskatchewan, they didn't really get outside that often because the ends were containing him. Now they tried to find an answer to the containment situation. What they're doing is they're taking one of the receivers, which is taking him out of the play, which is Demetrician right here, blocks down on the end so that Doug can see the outside and have room to throw. This is their answer to all the containment, but that takes a receiver out of their repertoire.
Well, of course, missing 2 offensive linemen, though, late in the quarter, that'll affect your offense a little bit. How about Mike Cauley so far, Obi?
I think he's doing a good job for a rookie, and I think one of the things he is doing, and Glenn mentioned it at the field, is that he's going to run the ball when he has the opportunity to do that. And one good thing about that, especially on a hot night like tonight, those defensive linemen will get tired if you got a quarterback that's scampering around a lot. And if he can just keep from making real big mistakes like he did last week, they may hang in there.
Oh, Bob, you sound like such a coach, you know. This is a classic illustration of why you can't always believe certain coaches in the CFL, by the way. Don Matthews said during the course of the week that they were going to go with a 3-4, 3 defensive linemen and 4 linebackers. Well, what's he doing in this first quarter? He's using 4 defensive linemen and 3 linebackers, and with Reggie Givens as a defensive end.
When you got a defense like that, you can do a number of things. It's Don Matthews. Remember that, though.
Yeah.
Latest big play by Mike Pinball Clemens, giving the Argonauts good field position to start the second quarter. Back to Skydome now.
The pinball brought it back 33 yards, and that sets the Argonauts up at the 53.5-yard line.
You think he wanted to make amends after last week, dropping
yes.
a couple, and he's just upset that he didn't take this one all the way. Sorry, John.
Flutie from the shotgun. Robert Drummond stopped after a gain of a couple. Call it a 4-yard gain. First downs even. Yards passing favoring the Argonauts. Yards rushing favoring the Tiger Cats. The scoreboard is dead even.
And I think the key on that is also the time of possession. See Kendrick Nord working out on the sideline, warming up that arm and keeping it loose. I didn't see Mike Colley's getting injured on any play, so interesting to see him warming up on the sideline.
Argo's 2nd and 6. Tim Christian flipped over from an outside receiver spot. And Joe Mumford, a big part of the Ticats' success so far, in on the play. Gino, what's up with the Ticat quarterback?
Well, John, not long before Nord's going to get in the game. There's nothing wrong with Colley at all. It looks like they had a plan to actually get Kendrick Nord to actually start the second quarter. Now they said, look, take a break. Maybe we're going to let Colley go a little longer, but don't be surprised if the first quarterback we see for the Ticats here in the second quarter is Kendrick Nord, because he's ready to go.
I think that's silly. What do you say?
Wow, I think if Mike Colley's playing pretty well, leave him in there. Showing some pretty good poise so far.
Vanderjack. Ken Wilhite. Desperately wanting to break one for the Tiger Cats. Don Southern lamenting yesterday about the problems they've had with the return game, saying that Hamilton really has averaged only about 11 yards on returns and not had one real big breakaway so far this season.
We are going to see Kendrick Nord, John, in the second quarter. You know, when you talk about confidence for a quarterback, I think probably going into the game, if both know that they're going to play, in other words, if this was designed that Kendrick Nord would play in the second quarter, I don't think it'll affect Mike Colley's confidence. However, you got to think if you're Colley sitting on the sideline saying, well, wait a minute, I played a pretty good quarter. Maybe I thought they'd scrap the initial plan and just keep me in there.
Kendrick Nord out of Grambling, seeing his first regular season CFL action, rolling to his right. Simmons couldn't make the catch. Nord had a lot on that ball. Charlie Simmons, another newcomer, who led Georgia Tech in receiving in his senior year. Kendrick Nord, 6,500 career yards in college, 64 touchdowns. The college was Grambling State.
And 64 touchdowns. That's an amazing one right there. 64 touchdown passes in 3 years. You only play 8-10 games in college.
So you figure that out. Work that out for me. Divide 3 into 64 and average it out.
3 into 63 divided by 6. That's 20? 20 a year? Around there? 20 something?
20 and a bit. Nord under pressure. Firing into the turf. Ashonde Smith was the intended receiver, and 2 Argos in pursuit.
Well,
included Lester Smith.
John, I got a theory on the quarterback switching thing here now. Kendrick Nord goes in, runs 2 plays, rolls. I think Don Southern says, listen, the amount I want my 2 young quarterbacks to run in this game, I'm going to keep them fresh. I'll put 1 in the first quarter, 1 in the second quarter, and I want them both to just run around and try and create something on their own.
Well, I was just wondering about the effect that it might have on Colley after he engineered that wonderful touchdown drive to get Hamilton back to even. But maybe if it's part of the plan, we'll let the whole story unfold here. Osbaldiston to Mike Clemens. Big return of 33 yards last time. Markers down this time. And so is Clemens finally wrestled down by Justin Ring, number 36. 7 yards on the return of a 44-yard punt. Live from Skydome on CFL Live. It's all even, 7-7.
CFL football.
Rough Riders Stampeders, the Friday night football matchup on TSN, live from McMahon. Riders on a bit of a roll. Stampeders expecting Alan Pitts back one of these days, apparently, but not tomorrow night for that one.
Rumor has it he may be a couple weeks.
Argonauts 1st and 10. Flutie shoveled it ahead for no one in particular. Now the Argos have had to make some adjustments along that offensive line. I see Chad Folk in there, number 56. And eeny, meeny, miny, mo, who gets to be the quarterback for the Tiger Cats next series?
Well, there must be a method to the madness for Don Southern. But Mike Colley obviously upset about being pulled, didn't want to be seen, and he went and asked, according to Gino Red on the sideline, asked if he was going to be back in next series, and no one really seems to know except Don Southern.
2nd and 10 for Flutie and the Argonauts. He's got time to throw and got Masadi for a 1st down. Masadi well over the yards necessary to move up a notch. In Argo receiving, he was 11 yards back of Dick Shadow. And Masadi now moves into 3rd place in the Argos all-time receiving list, ahead of the legendary Dick Shadow, who retired when Masadi was about 9 years old.
Likely catch Terry Greer this year, but chances are he won't catch Darrell K. Smith just yet.
Masadi had that one knocked away, and I think Tiggle got a hand in there, number 73. Masadi seemed a little surprised that that ball wasn't in his midst, but Tiggle stuck a hand in.
Sometimes receivers will cut across the middle, John, and you see great look at Terry Greer, who's now the receiver coach in Hamilton, but sometimes, think about Masadi, he cut across the middle, and he'll be looking for those linebackers, and who's going to pick him up and hit him, and that time he didn't look back and didn't see the ball delivered to him.
Second and 10. Ticats have had the Argos in that situation already on this drive. Markers down as Flutie goes deep, and a great defensive play by Eric Carter, tipping it away from Demtrition. Penalty markers at the 50-yard line. I think it might have been a little Argo holding.
Well, if Mike Kislak's the ref, it's against the Ticats.
Illegal contact on an eligible receiver.
Hang on.
Hamilton, number 28. 1st down.
Uh-oh. Frank West called there.
Come on, get in the
And Southern obviously upset far side of the near side.
The way he was yelling at Frank West, it was probably a good call by the official, and Don
He
Southern
was yelling at his player.
Yeah.
That means a Toronto 1st down at the Ticat 54. Flutie, 1st run of the ball game across the 50 as he puts his head down. Gonzalo Floyd making the tackle as Flutie went behind the newcomer Jeremy O'Day.
Well, you know what? Jeremy O'Day, you're right, John, is the newcomer, and he's going to pull to this side of the field. That's a little different than having big Willie Williams coming across there, because this is a designed run, but you see Justin Ring just stand up, the newcomer and O'Day right in the hole, and Flutie has nowhere to go.
He did manage 5 yards. 2nd and 5. Flutie has Masadi again. And another 1st down. Tracked down by Justin Ring. 36 for the Ticats.
Now this is the experience of Paul Mazzatti, because Paul Mazzatti sees that it's zone and sees the linebackers. He's going to curl in. You're going to see him from the top of your screen. Watch him come to the middle. Now he disappears to the left and then goes back to the outside, because right in the middle was Calvin Tiggle and Justin Ring in their drops. He saw them there, broke off his pattern, broke to the outside. That's what Flutie needs.
14 yards for Paul Mazzatti. 1st down Toronto now at the Ticat 35. Flutie has the pinball. He escapes the 1st tackle, tracked down by Montford, and drilled as well by Orlando Steinauer, number 22. Pinball finds a way.
John, Mike Clemens does a masterful job always of staying just behind the line of scrimmage. There's the line of scrimmage. See how he's backed off a little bit? That gives him more space. That way he can get into the soft spot in the zone. You see no one out there. Aaron Ruffin breaks late, but he can create that by being just off the line of scrimmage by alignment.
Another 14-yard pickup for Toronto as pinball comes to the near side of the field this time. Play whistled out. Did Dougie take too long?
Procedure. Toronto number 54. Still first down.
Jeremy O'Day, the newcomer. You know, with two newcomers on the offensive line, there's O'Day getting used to the snap count. And, of course, Chad Folk has also had to play for Pierre Vercheval. I'm surprised that Don Southern hasn't sent more pressure on the Argos. That's two newcomers on the O-line.
Two raw rookies on the offensive line.
I'm thinking send the house and see if you can't beat one of them in a one-on-one.
These guys are right out of college, replacing Williams and Vercheval. 1st and 15. Flutie on the roll. Tipped and almost tipped into the hands of Andre Kerwan.
And Frank West had a golden opportunity to make amends for his holding or illegal contact penalty earlier in this drive, because he slides underneath, and I don't think Doug Flutie ever sees him. Pretty good job of disguising the zone, and Frank West, who's the nickel, you see him just slide to his right. He gets up there a little higher. He times that one a little better, and that's a big pick, and Flutie's just thankful that one wasn't caught by the wrong color shirt.
Second and 15 Argos now at the Ticat 26. 7-7 the score at Skydome.
Oh, Doug Flutie saw blitz. Doug Flutie had a play called. Now, tell you right now, the Hamilton defense for this whole drive has been playing zone defense, sending 4, sometimes only 3 on Doug Flutie. He came up on the ball, probably had a play called designed to beat that zone. He saw all the Hamilton linebackers creeping up to the line of scrimmage, and he calls timeout. Now, you see Tiggle walk up. You see Justin Ring. He's walking up there, too. He says, wait a minute, I need a different play. Melvin Aldridge also slipping up in there and coming in for the linebacker spot for Aaron Ruffin. So he saw full blitz and audibled out of it. Or, excuse me, called the timeout and got out of it.
He got out of it.
Yeah, he got out.
2nd and 15. Flutie has time. And now it evaporates. He avoids Gonzalo Floyd. Flutie end zone pass. And tips. Intended for Masadi.
Rob Hitchcock, John, just saved the touchdown for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Vintage Flutie buys himself some time to get way outside, and Rob Hitchcock, who was on the far side of the field, has to cover a ton of ground to get over there, and all he's doing is trying to fall Doug Flutie as he's reading this. Now, right now, you can't see him, but Hitchcock is to the left hash mark. He sees Flutie roll the other way and takes off and then lays out for the ball and just gets a finger on it.
Because Mazzati is waiting for it.
He's wide open.
Vanderjack 0 for 3 last week in Saskatchewan. And he's on track for a 10-7 Argo lead. Argo's a little disappointed they had to settle for 3. The Tiger Cats are hanging right in there, folks. Join us for CFL Live at the half when the boys go once around about this game and give a few thoughts to Saskatchewan-Calgary in the Friday night matchup on TSN tomorrow. Argo's on top, but it's only by 3. Hamilton fans would think right now it could have been a lot worse.
If it wasn't for Rob Hitchcock not clipping his fingernails, it may have been.
Ashande Smith on the return. He's out to the 32. Who will quarterback the Ticats on this series? Here's Gene Retta.
Well, John, I'll tell you, it's not a pretty situation on the sidelines right now because this whole plan is news to Mike Colley. He continually walks up to Terry Greer and said, Terry, am I back in? Am I back in? Terry just kind of shrugging his shoulders saying, don't ask me, kid. I have no idea. It seems like the only person who knows right now what's going on is Don Southern. He's got a game plan, and Nord looks like he's going to go back into the game again.
Well, he's definitely there right now. The reason for all this happening is Anthony Calvillo is on the sidelines witnessing this one. Kendrick Nord at the controls. Going on the run and behind the intended receiver. Charlie Charlie Simmons.
Just to go back to that thought of the quarterbacks now, we talked earlier about it, and I said it really shouldn't affect their confidence if they knew going in that Kendrick Nord would start the second half. But from what Gino Reda just said, it doesn't sound like Mike Colley had any idea. So now that changes things a little bit for Colley. Well, how does
Nord
he
hasn't
feel
had
right
any
now?
success at all. Although Colley didn't move the team on his first couple of possessions.
Well, John, I thought in the first quarter, Mike Colley looked real good.
Well, he did, but he didn't move the team in the first couple of possessions. Nice drive for the touchdown, no doubt. Nord stands in, looking for a completion. That was a dangerous toss as Adrian Smith got his hands on the ball. Kendrick Nord is 0 for 4. Felt a little heat here.
Well, you see the Michael O'Shea, number 50. That's called a pressure rush. He comes up and shows blitz. That allows a little bit of pressure to come from the backside, and he comes up and shows blitz and grabs the back like that. He has to be counted in the blocking scheme, and that time Hamilton missed one on the backside.
Mike Clemens at his 35-yard line. Osbaldiston feeling no ill effects from that hit earlier. Nice kick here by Ozzie. Chasing the pinball back to his 20. Surrounded by Tiger Cats. He got through. They took a big hit. He's been nailed a couple of times. That time, Donovan Wright, 27. Nailed number 31 for the Argos after a 16-yard return. Wright is still celebrating. 2-1 Argos. Last year, in this series with the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
I remember seeing the highlights of that first one. Hamilton 38, Toronto 36. Boy, that was a shootout. Dunnigan and Flutie.
That's when the Ticats were flying high. Dunnigan was on the sidelines shortly after that win.
And never returned.
First down, and it's batted down. Frustration starting to show on the face of number 2.
Well, here's what Hamilton's D has done. Pretty good job. Joe Mumford coming on those 4 stunts, but you see the key for him. 12 times he's been in contain. Now, when you ask a guy like Joe Mumford, who loves to rush the passer and get those sacks, to contain the quarterback 12 times, it's asking him to be unselfish. Think of the team first, and so far, Joe Mumford is doing it for Hamilton.
Flutie looks at 2nd and 10 at the Argonauts 36. Toronto leading by 3. Matt DeBuck out of the backfield, number 24. And the Ticats read that well and surrounded him. Ken Willite was there.
You heard Joe Mumford yelling over there to Doug Flutie. It's all day, and they're an aggressive Hamilton defense. Had success 11 days ago, but team pursuit on the previous play gets them there in the frustration. And Doug Flutie.
Didn't I just say that on the previous play?
Yeah.
More of it right now.
Exactly.
2 and out for the Argos. Vanderjack. Stenauer the return for the Tiger Cats. Looks for a little something, finds very little. Wrapped up by John Raposo. The game on the return is 1. The punt traveled 38.
Guess who the quarterback is for this series?
I don't know. There you go.
Okay.
Mike Colley engineered a touchdown drive in the opening quarter, then sat on the bench to begin the second quarter with Kendrick Nord getting an opportunity. Colley was visibly upset on the sidelines. Now it's Nord's turn to watch and Colley's turn to play. Ticats from the 37. Decent field position. Colley standing in. Charlie Simmons, the intended target.
Well, here's when Mike Colley had control. There's the first possessions. Now, you see the punts in there, the TD throw, which was a great play, but you see the punts in there. But what Mike Colley did was control the football, keep the field position on his side, didn't force anything, didn't make any mistakes. I thought he played a pretty good quarter. Don Southern obviously had a game plan of his own and switched him up.
Well, we'll see how Colley Bears, as we head to halftime on 2nd and 10, Hamilton here. 3 receivers near side. Colley hit as he threw, and one hopped it to Charlie Simmons. Eric Johnson coming from the backside and nailing Mike Colley. This isn't pressure. This is a big-time hit.
You cannot blame the quarterback. Look at it. Team meeting for the Argos in the backfield, and Eric Johnson, the newcomer, comes across, and Mike Colley had no chance of completing that pass, and didn't even know if it was complete or not because he was face down in the dirt. That one hit him right in the black jacket in the back.
Eric Johnson getting his first start with Rod Waldrop on the sidelines. The Argos add a linebacker to fill in for a defensive lineman and then shift things around. Osbaldiston. For Clemens, a one-hopper. Marker's down, and so is Clemens at the 40. Make it about the 41-yard line.
And likely be unintentional in that 5-yard restraining zone, a 5-yard penalty. I think it was Mike Morielli that got in there.
Flutie was 6 for 6 on the touchdown drive, and now he's dropped to 11 of 18 for 137.
Now, in fairness to that Argo offense, when you take 2 starters and 1 veteran starter of 10 years.
4 yards. Hamilton, number 18. First down.
You called it.
You take them out of the starting offensive line, and it becomes a little tougher to move the football. Mike Morielli got caught inside that 5-yard restraining zone, 5-yard penalty.
Both Morielli and Andrew Gregg took penalties last Friday against Winnipeg on procedure calls. Just getting a head start from a wide receiver spot. Batted down. It's up for grabs. Did anyone in white hang on? Not quite. There were about 3 big guys trying to play receiver on the play. Now this is funny.
So Mike Campbell, Gonzalo Floyd knocks it up in the air and then turns around and tries to get to it. He's at the top of your screen. See number 90 go up and knock it up in the air. Now he turns around and get it. Mike Campbell has a shot at it, but it's kind of like that baseball deal, and also Kelvin Tingle. It's the baseball deal, though. Someone's got to call that one.
Yeah, you got to call it in the air.
Mine. Or else you get the collision there and you fight over it.
It was definitely catchable. But the Ticats knocked their own men off the interception possibility. 2nd and 10. Flutie, a deeper drop. And then fired high from Mazzati far side.
John, Doug Flutie right now has 1 receiver to go to, and that is Paul Mazzati. He is the only guy that is reading the defense correctly.
Interesting stuff. Argo's a little frustrated in the first half. It's Skydo. Gotta like the way this guy plays football, Paul Mazzati.
Well, John, he was just in an argument with Doug Flutie on the sideline.
Steinauer on the return for the Tiger Cats. Toronto, 4 straight 2-and-out offensive sequences. Here's the discussion, and here's what happened on the previous play.
Well, here's the play. Now, Hamilton's just playing the zone. You see, zone defense moved to the outside. Now, Paul Mazzati is not in the spot, or he is in the spot that thinks he should be, and Doug Flutie didn't think he should be there. Now, I'm not about to say that the #1 passer in the game is wrong, or that the 10-year veteran receiver is wrong, but somewhere they are not communicating with each other.
And you said they were the only really getting along in that Argo offensive schemes.
So far in the first half, they're the only ones clicking, and then you saw there that they're also arguing. So definite problems over there for the offense for Toronto.
Nice little run by Archie Amerson for the Ticats on first down. He's more than halfway to the 10 yards necessary. Second start for Archie Amerson out of Northern Arizona, 5'8", 175. Decent numbers last week. 7 carries for 21, 5 receptions for 41, and his first CFL TD.
Timeout. Hamilton.
And why not? with 2 minutes and 10 seconds to go till halftime. Collie wants to chat it up on the sidelines with Cavillo.
Now the only thing, and again, like I'm not in the playbook and don't hear the call in the huddle, but I think Mike Colley saw the clock and saw it ticking down, and then he looked at the defense and decided that he may have to audible and may not have had time, so called the timeout. But Don Southern, under a tremendous amount of pressure,
feeling the heat. It's part of the business. And there's one quote at the very end there: "I've never been a loser." And when you look at Don Southern's record in Canadian football,
certainly hasn't.
Absolutely true. 7 Grey Cup rings, 5 as a player.
Of course, inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1992.
Collie on second of about 4, looking deep. Thornton gets his first activity. Oh! And almost dragged it in. Adrian Smith with the coverage. Just about rolled off Adrian Smith and into the hands of Bert Thornton.
Good matchup here, though, John. These two teams played each other 11 days ago. Bert Thornton had a pretty good game with 91 yards and a touchdown. You know Adrian Smith, who's one of the good corners in the league, is going to want to make amends and does a nice job of staying in the hip pocket and timing his jump.
Good play all around because
really
Smith covered well, and Thornton was there and had an opportunity, but defense won out there. Why don't you keep track of that matchup?
Yeah.
We may see it again. Third down, Ticats. 2:02 to go. That's still halftime. Mike Clemens kind of ran underneath Blaine Schmidt on the coverage.
Well, I saw, I was a little uh-oh there, because I saw Blaine Schmidt bearing down. He wasn't blocked, and he was just bearing down on Mike Clemens, and he weighs 303 pounds. Now, Mike Clemens weighs 170 pounds. So now, have they sorted it out? Paul Mazzotti and Doug Flutie.
Do you think there's a spat between number 2 and 88?
Well, there was an argument going on the sideline.
Whoa.
And we will see if they sort it out, if
This
Doug
sounds
Flutie
like
looks to him or not.
Inside edition stuff. 1:53 till halftime. Flutie shovels it ahead for Drummond. Nice tackle.
Oh.
And a penalty marker down in a hurry. Gonzalo Floyd wrapped up Drummond.
And this was an unbelievable play by Gonzalo Floyd. I mean, when you're asking a guy who's the size of him, about 250 pounds, to do what he just did on this play, well, that's asking a lot, and he came up with a big one.
Holding. Toronto number 56. Repeat first down.
Chad Folk has his first holding call in Canadian football.
Folk with the holding, but Gonzalo Floyd with the play. He's right here on your screen now. He's been asked to contain Flutie, but he also has to take the run. Contain Flutie first, stop, come back and take the run. That's pretty tall order, and he makes a big play there.
1st and 20 now. Facing the Argos, 1:48 till halftime. Flutie from the shotgun. Has time. Near side. Look for Mike Saunders.
Yeah.
And he has not seen a whole lot of activity. Mike Saunders in for 3 or 4 plays prior to being spotted that time.
Well, Mike Saunders just going to run the out and up pattern. The wheel pattern really was a ball that was going to be tough to catch because he was double covered. One by Alvin Eldridge down the sideline and the other by Eric Carter. So Mike Saunders, who can catch the ball well out of the backfield, and you can see his receiving yards, did a good job of that in Saskatchewan. Ken Austin was the quarterback, but was well covered on that last play.
Question is, can he make an impact as a slot back where the Argos said they plan to use him? Flutie to the far side. And high for Andre Kerwan.
Now this is the Hamilton defensive plan. Clog up the middle with your zone defense. Leave the corners on the outside and man-to-man. Let guys like Calvin Tingle clog up the middle with Aaron Ruffin, Melvin Aldridge, and Justin Rink. Make Doug Flutie throw to the outside of the field. And you can see the frustration in his eyes when he has to go out there and can't click, and he doesn't even want to hear from his head coach right now.
You're building quite a little story of intrigue. Vanderjack, great kick. Wilhite lets it bounce. He couldn't field it properly. Rolling back toward the kicker. And penalty markers are down.
Dean Noel did a nice job there, John.
Heads up.
Drawing the Argos offside.
Ticats will get a little bit more out of that. Decent field position perhaps for Colley. CFL Live at the half. The boys are all ready. And who will Rod Smith's first pass be completed to tonight?
Well, likely be whoever wants to talk about.
No yard. Toronto number 21. First down.
I think whoever on that panel that wants to talk about this sputtering offense will likely get the ball first there for the Argos.
So the Ticats look at 1:20 till halftime. They trail by 3. It is Mike Colley at the controls. He began the game, gave way to Kendrick Nord at the beginning of this second quarter. Amerson cuts the corner and grabs about 3.
Well, the newcomer Eric Johnson's going to play the linebacker position because Reggie Gibbons has moved up and he's got pretty good quickness and speed to the outside and does a nice job to what we call scrape on defense. That means just scrape to where the running back goes and make the tackle, and he does it there.
Amerson 7 carries for 41 yards. Decent production first half. Colley with time. And he has Thornton for a first down. Nice play. First catch for Thornton, wrapped up by Adrian Smith. So it's 1-1 in that battle.
Sorry, John. What a great catch by Bert Thornton in traffic. Adrian Smith's going to drop off deep, and he's going to have a flat guy, and I believe it's Eric Johnson slide underneath him right there and flash in front of Bert Thornton just as the ball was coming, and Thornton kept concentration and hung on.
Ticats at the Argonaut 41. Opportunity to score before halftime. There's Thornton. It's picked down at the 5-yard line, but there's a marker down in the Ticat backfield. Lester Smith has the interception. Mike Colley threw 3 last week in a brief appearance against the Blue Bombers.
Oh, it's against Toronto. Well, it's offsetting now, it looks like.
Don Southern cannot buy a break if that's the case.
Well, I jumped the gun there. I didn't wait for both signals.
Illegal contact on an eligible receiver, Toronto. Holding. Hamilton number 61 will repeat the down.
Well, there's a bit of a break for the Tiger Cats. No interception. Scratch that from Colley's record. Jude St. John fingered on the holding. And now 35 seconds till halftime. Look where the Tiger Cats are. One more first down. Gets them comfortably in Osbaldiston range. Amerson. Good block out in front. A nice run by Artie Amerson. Definitely in field goal range now. And an opportunity for a chance to run a couple of plays and maybe hit the end zone. 9 for Amerson.
They've run that play twice now where Peter Shorts has pulled around the corner and done a nice job of blocking for Amerson. That time it worked well again. So looks like Mike Colley will take one more crack at it before Osbaldiston comes out onto the field.
Ticats with a first down with a 2nd and 1 situation. Touchdown toss a little too far for Thornton. 23 seconds remaining till halftime. 2nd down, less than a yard. We flipped to 3rd down, less than a yard. So there's a chance to get the first down and maybe run off one more play, maybe 2.
Well, you're juggling.
Or do you go for the field goal here?
You kick the field goal for sure right here and take the points and some momentum into the second half and tie this football game up.
Osbaldiston missed one last week. 2 of 4 on the season, hitting on 50%. The short chopper missed last week. McGregor spotted. And Osbaldiston is wide. Chance for the Argos to get it out of the end zone. And Smith will do that. So Ozzie shaken up in the opening quarter, bothered by a bad back, perhaps. Shanked one a little bit wide. So it remains a 3-point Toronto lead.
When he got hit on that punt earlier in the game, Paulus Ballison hurt his tailbone, and Lester Smith took that one out of the end zone to keep that point off. And when Ozzie hurt his tailbone, that can affect his plant foot and his kicking foot. There's a lot of torque on a kicker's leg when he plants that foot and brings the other one through to kick the football. And you have a little bit of pain on that tailbone. Makes it a little more difficult, and Ozzie left that one way out to the right. I'm allowed to call him Ozzie because we were in the league together for a long time, so I'm allowed. He said it's okay. I call him
You
Ozzie.
can call him Ozzie? Well, you were sort of a member of the Kickers Club, weren't you? Like Clemens. 9 seconds to go when this play began, and Clemens still standing down near the 50 of the Tiger Cats. But that rounds out the opening half. Tiger Cats had a great opportunity to be even, Suits.
Yeah, they really did, but I think they can be happy to be only 10-7 at this point.
Interesting night at Skydome. We'll send you back to CFL control and get the perspective from the boys back there.
Live at the half, the Ticats 16-point underdogs, but someone forgot to tell them, down by only 3. And yes, the missed field goal could have had a tie game. Rod Smith back with Obi, Les, and Marty. They seem to be even, Marty, in sideline confusion so far as well. Doug Flutie and Paul Mazzotti, but also the Ticats quarterback situation at the beginning of the second.
Well, Rod, you're right. This is precisely the kind of thing that has the Hamilton players shaking their heads in bewilderment all season from day one. Cauley had a decent first quarter. He led the Ticats to their only touchdown. And then Sudsy replaced them with Kendrick Nord, who has never played it down in the CFL. And then when Cauley came back, he looked like he lost his confidence. It's the same kind of thing that Sudsy did at the beginning of the season when it looked like he declared that they were going to go with a running attack. And then he abandoned that after 1 week and went to a passing attack.
Well, I think the only problem with that whole situation is that, from what Gino Reda said on the sidelines, is that the quarterbacks weren't aware of this strategy. I could see if Coach Southern told the 2 quarterbacks before the game that he wanted to use them both so that they could sprint out and run around and maybe wear down the defense. But the way the game started out, and when he's going with the young quarterback to start with, all you're doing is messing with his head if he doesn't know about it.
Coach, you may be coaching that team next week anyway.
Coach, on the
Hey, don't bury Sudsy just yet.
Coach, they're going 2 and out. You can't get too tired going 2 and out.
No,
but anyway,
sure.
You know what? With all this confusion that Hamilton's giving them, or giving themselves with the quarterback changes, they're still in the game.
That's
that means their defense is playing tremendously good out there against Doug Flutie, who looks very, very upset at this point.
And I think one of the big problems that we're seeing in this game in particular is that Doug's receiving core, with Mike Saunders in as a slot back and not having, you know, it looks like he's got 2 receivers, Mazzotti and Mitchell, and the backs. The other 2 receivers aren't doing a whole lot.
And Mazzotti and Flutie just do not seem to be on the same wavelength anymore. I don't know what's going on. They're out of sync. It's been going on all season.
Some of those questions still to be answered. As for the questions of the Ticat quarterbacking situation, right at the end of the half, our Gino Reda had a chat on the sidelines with Ticats head coach Don Southern.
Coach, Mike Cauley comes out, leads you to a touchdown in the first quarter. You make a change at the start of the second quarter. Can you help us understand that?
Well, we got to get that kid some playing time, you know, and we felt that we could roll him out and let him run the football, but he only ran the ball once. He's got to run the football in this league, and we wanted to give him a little playing time. That was it.
Does Cauley go the rest of the way unless he gets hurt?
Yes, yes.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck in the second half.
All right, thank you, Gino. As the tower looks down on Skydome, the Argos not towering over the Ticats at all. 3-point lead. We'll preview Week 4, the rest of it. CFL Live continues after this. Joe Kroll had a spectacular career which lasted from 1932 until 1953. Often referred to as the Gold Dust Twins, Joe King Kroll to Royal Copeland became a well-known 1-2 punch. He joined the Toronto Argonauts in 1945 and played on 5 Grey Cup winners, including the 1947 team where Kroll kicked the winning single in a 10-9 Grey Cup win over Winnipeg. You can see more on Kroll and other CFL legends at the Canadian Football Hall of Fame in Hamilton. Welcome back. CFL Live at the half. The Argos leading the Ticats by just 3 points at Skydome. One other game going on in the CFL tonight. It begins in a half hour's time at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. The Eskimos coming off a horrible outing against the BC Lions when they turned over the ball 9 times against the only unbeaten team in the CFL, the Montreal Alouettes. And on Saturday, this is the matchup we have for you. Yes, Jeff Reinbold returning to BC to take on his old team along with his assistant, Joe Pow Pow, running back Ronald Williams, an ex-Lion. Should be very interesting. We've got that one for you live, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 Pacific. But tomorrow...
Well, anytime square. 2 weeks ago. When it feels just right, we're gonna kick back, relax, watching football on a Friday night.
Yeah, Friday Night Football, we've got it for you tomorrow from McMahon Stadium in Calgary. The Stamps, could they be falling to 0-4? Taking on the Saskatchewan Roughriders, no doubt on a high after beating the Argos last weekend. Our Gord Miller standing by with one of the anchors of the defense, Bobby Jurison.
Bobby, how significant was the win last week over Toronto?
It was a big lift for the whole team and the organization. It's nice to see that the offense came along when we need them at the end. Defense is playing pretty steady, and we're improving every week.
I know it's early, but through 3 weeks, is this the best defense you've played for in Saskatchewan?
And going on 12 years that I've been there, this is one of the best defenses that I play on. We have the personnel now with our linebacking crew, and the defensive backs are playing fantastic. And John Kroepke, a great addition to the defensive line, is tremendous.
Last year, you had your best year rushing the quarterback in about 6 years. And you talked about dropping some weight in the offseason before last year. How has that changed your game?
Well, it's changed my game in a way that I'm quicker on the field and I can run 4 quarters. When I was 265, it was more of a smash mouth football. It was when we had the teams from the States, and it was more run. So I got a little heavier, but now that I'm lighter, I can run 4 quarters. And as far as the pass rushing goes, I'm only as good as the teammates that are around me, and this year I have a great set around me.
This team has obviously excited some people in Saskatchewan and elsewhere. After your Week 1 win against BC, you came back at home against Edmonton, and maybe there was a bit of a letdown. How concerned are you about that playing Calgary?
Well, the letdown that we had in the Edmonton game is that they came out and they had a great game plan. Coach Lancaster had a great game plan for us. We had the right defensive scheme, and we just did not execute. We made mistakes, and they capitalized on them, and they won. Going into the Toronto game, we eliminated 3 quarters of our package, cut it down to a quarter, cut down to thinking for some of the younger guys, and we just went out there and played football.
Talk to me about how you think Calgary will play in this game, because you have to think at 0-3, playing in front of their fans, playing the first of a home-and-home. If they're ever going to play well, it's probably going to be in this game.
Well, they got to be feeling the heat, especially here with the great tradition that they had in the past, that it's a winning ball club, and they're not taking this losing well. They're definitely going to be pumped up for this game, for their first win of the season, and so are we. It's just another game that we have to take a step towards the Grey Cup.
Thanks, Bobby.
All right.
All right, thank you, Gord. That is tomorrow night, Friday Night Football on TSN. As for tonight, as mentioned, Edmonton hosting the Montreal Alouettes. We'll have an update on that one before we sign off tonight. It is about to get underway at Commonwealth Stadium. Some additions for the Eskimos. Derek Scholdice will start at left guard, and Obi Malcolm Frank on the corner. So an already pretty good defense gets that much better. How much better?
Well, he's an excellent football player and probably one of the best one-on-one guys in the league. I think Edmonton's going to bounce back from the bad outing they had last week. They don't lose too often at home, 2 in a row, but the big key will be whether or not they can stop that Montreal running game.
I don't know about the running game or the passing game of Montreal, but I know about Tracy Ham. You know, if they got it, I think he sets up everything for Montreal. The pass, the run, everything. And the man is playing at the top of his game already early in the season, and I think that's going to be a key for Montreal to beat Edmonton and that front four that they have. They add a lot of pressure, but Tracy Ham's going to be the key there.
Well, for all the ground that Edmonton gained by winning 2 on the road, to lose 2 at home, yeah, that'd be quite a setback. How about tomorrow night, Marty?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Friday Night Football. We're going to see the Calgary Stampeders probably... You sing for me, Les. That's a good idea. I think we're going to see the Stampeders fall to 0-4. And I'll tell you why. If you think Garcia had happy feet before against some of the other teams that they played, imagine against Katie Williams, the player of the week, by the way, and Lamar McGriggs and Henry Newby and the Saskatchewan defense, the best in the CFL. And also, Calgary is not going to be having Alondra Johnson, who's their best defensive player. And he's got a hamstring injury. So, Saskatchewan tomorrow night.
When are they going to make that change, Marty? They're going to bring Danny Barrett out of the coaching box and put him on the field and change quarterbacks like Hamilton's doing.
Glad you brought that up because Danny is recovering from arthroscopic knee surgery. He's serving as an offensive coach right now. But within about 3 weeks, he may be ready to come on the field. And I would think that Garcia is feeling Danny breathing over his shoulder. And he's also feeling Dave Dickinson, who hasn't had a chance to do anything yet, breathing over his shoulder.
Talks of quarterbacks on a team that desperately needs a win. Calgary at 0-3, Hamilton at 0-3, and quarterbacking has been a subject there. Mike Colley apparently is the guy to go the rest of the way. We'll go back to John and Glenn when CFL Live resumes after this. Yes, we're live and interactive here at TSN, and through the half at Skydome, here's your update on the QB1 standings. That half has seen the Hamilton Tiger Cats right in it, despite some confusion and quarterbacking situation. The Argos have the same, and the Ticats D. Pretty good job once again at slowing Flutie down. Let's head back to Skydome.
Quite frankly, a 10-7 score is a little bit surprising. I thought, though, it should have been 10-10.
John, to me, this is very surprising. When you think about Doug Flutie and what he's done in this league over the year, to see that right now net yards for the Toronto Argos is 169. That's a Doug Flutie offense. That surprises me, and they are bickering on the sideline, visibly, coaches and receivers and quarterbacks.
That's on the Argos sideline. There's also a little animosity on the Ticat sideline between the quarterbacks who didn't look to be talking to each other after Colley got the hook to start the second quarter.
Well, neither quarterback knew that there was going to be a change. I think Kendrick Nord knew he was coming in, but Mike Colley did not know he would be pulled out and was visibly upset about it. And now you heard that Don Southern say that he will play the rest of the game unless there's an injury.
And you'll have the inside scoop, the inside story here. Teresa Cruz standing by with a TSN Sports Update.
Let's kick off the second half at Skydome with the Argos leading the Ticats 10-7. Argo offense has sputtered again. Well defense by the Tiger Cats strategists. Down near the 20-yard line. Ready to return his pinball and grabbed out of the air at the 40-yard line. So what do the Argonauts solve offensively? 11 of 22 for Flutie, 137 yards. Mike Colley, just 3 of 8, but he ran the ball very effectively and set up a touchdown to get even with the Argos.
Of course, he didn't play most of the second quarter. Kendrick Nord came in.
Last 5 series for the Argonauts, 2 and out. Low snap. Flutie swings it to the pinball. Mike Clemens around the corner, and he's better than 7 yards. Orlando Steinauer made the tackle. Call it an 8-yard gain for Flutie and the Argonauts.
Well, here you take a look at how Hamilton is attacking Doug Flutie with his pass rush. 3 players, 16 times, and dropped off and played zone. When you get to 5 players on a pass rush, now you're talking blitz with man-to-man behind it. Ticats only done that 3 times so far.
Argos on 2nd and 2. Closing in on midfield. Toronto 48. The pinball takes the pitch in the backfield and made it happen for a first down. What a great run by Mike Clemens, because somehow he escaped out of there. Well, let's bring in Gino Retta with more on the intrigue of the Argo bench.
Well, John, I'm not sure how much I believe of this, but I talked to Paul Mazzotti as he's coming out of the dressing room, and I said, Paul, what happened between you and Doug on the sidelines? He goes, what are you talking about? As if nothing had happened. I said, we got it on video. We saw the 2 of you arguing back and forth for a couple minutes. And I said, what was the deal? Were you angry at each other? He goes, no, we're just really, really frustrated that our offense is not moving the ball. We're not arguing against each other. We're actually just really, really angry at the scenario right now, and we've resolved everything's all right.
All right, Flutie, quarterback draw, marker down.
So they're arguing together.
But then everything is resolved.
Yeah. That's another little part of the story.
We're made for interesting pictures. 4 yards for Flutie. Let's check out the penalty.
Hamilton, number 98, tripping. First down.
Couple of calls going against Mike Campbell this night. It'll be a first down, Toronto, inside Ticat territory.
Mike Campbell's not going to change the call. He just wants an explanation. I thought tripping was a hockey penalty.
Doesn't happen often in the CFL. Flutie shoveled it ahead. Drummond had a hand on it, but couldn't bring it in.
That's an incomplete pass, so not a fumble. Basically the shovel pass or the shuttle pass or whatever you want to call it, but it's a forward pass, even though it's underhand. Flutie's going to go and try and flip it to Drummond, who gets caught up in the backfield because Mike Kiselak was forced back the line of scrimmage, and Robert Drummond couldn't get out there. But it looks like Toronto, to solve this Hamilton defense, is trying to run the football a little more and establish that running game.
Second and 10 Argos at the Ticat 49. Toronto on top. 10 seconds. Flutie can't find anyone open. And overthrew the intended target down there. Burwa.
But John,
Daryl Mitchell, sorry,
John, but that was a typical example of Hamilton rushing 3 people. Now, Doug Flutie appeared to have tons of time, but he couldn't throw it down the middle because Hamilton had dropped everyone and clogged up the middle. He had to wait for Daryl Mitchell to clear through there, get way to the outside, and then try and hit him on a longer throw. He was stuck in the pocket, couldn't get outside. That's why Toronto's punting right now.
Steinauer Willite deep for the Tiger Cats, and this is whistled down before they snap the ball. With Vanderjack standing back on his side of midfield.
Hamilton, number 90, still third down.
We heard Gino Reda talk to Paul Mazzotti about whether or not they were arguing, and he thinks he's open on this last play. Well, that looks like a little frustration towards his quarterback now.
Oh, you're building this thing up. Interesting on the penalty against Gonzalo Floyd. The Argos were thinking of a punt. Now, Vanderjack will try a field goal. He hit from 33 earlier, missed 3 in a row last week in Saskatchewan. This one from the 51. And he's got enough. Costly penalty against Gonzalo Floyd. It cost the Tiger Cats 3. Argos lead 13-7. What a great smile on the littlest Tiger Cat fan in Skydome. Sweetheart. Friday Night Football, Saskatchewan at Calgary. Join us at 9:30 Eastern for that tomorrow. You're on the road with Gord Miller and David Archer there, and then off to BC for Saturday.
And the Winnipeg BC game, the hype has begun. Jeff Reinbold's return to BC.
That could be fun.
Yeah.
After the field goal, Vanderjack will kick to Ruffin or Smith. (13-6) Argos. Aaron Ruffin. Pack and grabbed from behind by Nemeko, number 21. So Mike Colley gets his first chance of the second half. All of a sudden he's down by 6. First down, Hamilton.
Well, I think now, though, Johnny knows, and he's probably talked to Don Southern at halftime, and he knows he'll be the guy for the rest of this football game, and it makes a difference for a quarterback. Now he's got a chance to go in and start to establish something, get some first downs together, and get some momentum for his team.
Smith to the near side. Bert Thornton flanked to the top of your screen, far side of the field on first down, Hamilton near the 35. This is Archie Amerson. Nice cut. And he's got near 5 yards. Eric Johnson playing his first game as an Argonaut, had him wrapped up.
We talked about Archie Amerson, and we talked about his college career at Northern Arizona. Well, in one season, he rushed for over 2,000 yards, and we talked about it earlier, but in college football, you only play 8-10 games. That's quite a statistic.
Amerson got a touchdown in his first pro start against the Blue Bombers last Friday night at Ivor Wynn. Second and 5, Morreale made the catch, but he stopped well short of a first down. Ticats into a punting situation quickly.
Well, I'm not sure if there was some confusion or it was just Mike Colley was trying to read hot and just throw it out there, because Mike Morreale caught that ball with no one in front of him. Usually when you catch that hitch screen, you're going to have someone in front to set up for blocking, and see, Mike Colley thought that Mike Morreale might have taken that one up the field a little more, I think.
3rd and 4, pinball. Back for the Argos, as usual. Osbaldiston, a bit of a back problem after being hit in the first quarter. Got evident there. That's a pretty good kick.
Yeah.
Chasing the pinball back to the 15. That's where the return begins, and here's the pinball taking out. Across midfield, he'll be caught from behind and forced out, but there was a marker well downfield. Dean Noel finally catching up to the pinball. The punt traveled 55, the return 57. Let's check out the infraction. Against the Argos, so they'll bring this one back.
Coming back.
Take a breath, Don. You too. Couple of Dons head to head. Ticats staying with the Argonauts, down by 6 points.
On number 28, first down.
Wyndham Trishon holding on the return.
Well, Don Southern doesn't care who it was, just that it happened.
Argonauts begin at the 10-yard line. Actually, a little behind that. 1st and 10 at the Argonaut 8. Big weekend of racing all around Toronto with the Molson Indy on Sunday afternoon. Kenny Wilden will be in the Players Atlantic Championship Series, and he's a driver from Oakville. A pleasure that he joins us here in the broadcast booth here. Welcome. Excited about the weekend?
Oh, really looking forward to it. We've been down in Toronto all week raising some money for children's charities and that. And just looking forward. It's hometown for my sponsors, Trizac Con and the CN Tower and Slick 50. So looking forward to a great weekend.
It's going to be a great weekend. How's your season gone so far?
Well, this is my first year back in Atlantic in 4 years, so it's taken a little bit to get used to it. But in Montreal a few weeks ago, we were second in qualifying, ran third in the race. So we're looking to do a little bit better and win this time.
You had a brief retirement. At one point in your career, you raced against young Mr. Villeneuve on the Quebec circuit, or on the Atlantic circuit, I should say.
I did, yeah. And Villeneuve, certainly I finished second right behind him in rookie points, and he's obviously done great in his career.
Obviously, you set him up to a great career in Formula One.
That's right.
Kenny, I just have one question. What do you think of this game?
Well, I'll tell you, I've taken some good hits in my car, but some of these guys are taking some pretty good licks out there.
What about this weekend? Have you been around the Molson Indy prior to this year? Obviously you have.
Yeah, I have. I've been here since '88. Actually, it's my home track.
Your home track?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, good luck on the weekend, and we hope everyone has a great time.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Kenny Wilden from the Players Atlantic Series. And you're not going to be around to watch any of the big races this weekend.
No, I couldn't talk the network into keeping me over a couple extra days. I got to go to work.
You could take some lessons. I had a ride with you in Vancouver, and you hug that one lane a little too often. You always get yourself boxed in at the light.
I was driving defensively. I'm a defensive player.
Ready to resume with the Argos first down at the 8-yard line. Mike Clemens squirts his way through and wrapped up by West after a gain of nearly 5. Well, make it a 4-yard gain for the pinball.
The Argos have scrapped the game plan that they had coming in and gone to plan B, which is to run the football. Frank West is going to be the nickel back to come in, along with Aaron Ruffin, to get some speed on the defensive side of the ball. But the Argos are trying to establish a run in the second half. They feel that's the way to beat this 3-man rush from the Hamilton Ticats.
Mazzotti to the near side on 2nd and 6, Toronto. Flutie looked to Mazzotti. Now can't find anyone open. Mazzotti broke out the pattern. He went there and it's picked off. Orlando Steinauer returning for the Tiger Cat. He's inside the 30. Miscommunication. Well, a broken play as Mazzotti had to break off his pattern. Flutie couldn't find an open receiver, and then he missed Mazzotti down the near side.
John, sometimes it's communication problems, and sometimes it's just straight-out good coverage. Steinauer's down here playing on Mazzotti. He gives him a good jam, and then he's just going to run with him. Now, Doug Flutie had all day to throw the football, but you see that coverage right there in your screen on Paul Mazzotti? Well, it was like that across the board in the secondary for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Good play for Steinauer, who really did go for the interception. He had the inside step on Mazzotti.
Oh, yeah.
Second interception for Steinauer. First down for the Tiger Cats. Demetrius Maxey had Archie Amerson all wrapped up.
Just go back to that play once more. Watch how Doug Flutie has so much time to throw the football. He looks to his right, to his left, down the middle. He's got lanes. He's got passing lanes. But there is no one down the field open. Steinauer had a better chance at that football, obviously, than Paul Mazzotti did. Quarterback can only throw it. He can't get open, too.
Third interception of the season tossed up by Flutie. Second and 12. Facing the Tiger Cats after Amerson lost 2. Colley takes off himself. He needs 12 for the first. Has he got it? I think he does. You know, Johnny Harris made the tackle, and that's a pretty interesting call on second and 12 as Colley thought run all the way.
Mike Colley's just going to come right along the line of scrimmage on the option here. Now, the first word I thought of when he was coming along here was bravery, because Michael O'Shea and the rest of that defense for the Argos, including Andrew Stewart, were tracking him down, and he decided rather than pitch it and avoid a hit, I'm going to take it up in there. That takes some courage.
12-yard gain, Ticat first down, 7:33 to play, third quarter. Hamilton trailing Toronto by 6. With a first down at the Argonaut 18. Amerson is nailed in the backfield. Reggie Gibbons led Toronto in tackles in '96 with 66 of them. And he stops Amerson in his tracks.
John, sometimes it's a scheme that allows you to make a big play in the game, and sometimes it's just you beat your man. And that time, scheme did not allow Reggie Gibbons to get in the backfield. What allowed him to was, on that play, he beat his man, and it was Peter Shorts.
The loss will be 3, second and 13. So the Ticats will have to think about this. Thornton to the far side. Shonday Smith to the near side. Play action fake. Colley stands in. They take off again. He does. He'll get another first down. Don't throw, Mike Colley. Run the ball every time. 15 yards. He needed 13.
I may be jumping the gun a bit, but this kid looks like he can play. He's running the ball like a Tracy Ham kind of style running back. Here he goes up to the outside and then finds a seam, and then watch him outrun the pursuit. He reminds me a little bit of Tracy Ham when he runs the football.
You talked about his speed. Fourth carry for 62 yards. Cavillo looks on.
And John, not only that he ran so well, but it was the right decision for him to run. Rather than try and force the ball when he's running full speed, put it under your arm and pick up the first down on your own.
At the Argonauts 6, Ticats first and goal. Good fake to Amerson, and Colley can't get away. Wrapped up by Brendan Rodgers.
Brendan Rodgers doesn't get a whole lot of playing time on defense, but he does it perfectly on this play. He's off to the left of your screen and has contained. Now, what Hamilton is hoping is that he will bite on the play-action fake right there to Amerson. No shot. He's got contained. Colley has nowhere to go.
Loss of 7. Third sack for the Argos. Now second and goal as the Ticats are back at the Argonaut 13. Colley should run here. Well, maybe not. Shonday Smith, did he have it in his mitts and drop it?
Yeah.
I thought so.
Shonday Smith had one get through his fingers. Now, Colley thread the needle there a little bit. it was in traffic, no question, but you got a young team. You got to come up with that catch for your quarterback. You know, they say that the coaches will tell receivers the same thing. Look, you're going to get hit, whether you catch the ball or not. You might as well catch it.
You might as well. But Ashande didn't really have a clear path to the end zone on that pattern anyway. So Osbaldiston, who missed his last try, is in a little closer this time. Griggs sits it down, and Ozzie puts it through as the Ticats close to within 3 of the Argonauts. 5:12 to go, third quarter. An interesting night, to say the least, at Skydome. Ticats and the Argos on CFL Live. A little showdown in Hogtown. It's a 3-point ball game as the pinball Mike Clemens takes this at his 10-yard line. Stretching it out far side of the field. Markers are down as the pinball has returned well for the Argonauts tonight, but been flagged a couple of times, or at least the Argos have on the returns.
It has number 31 in blue has done his part tonight, because Mike Clemens has broke a bunch of kicks tonight, and most of them called back for penalties. You know, with a guy like Clemens...
Holding. Toronto number 50. First down.
Michael O'Shea on that play. With a guy like Clemens, you really don't need to give him much of a block. Just almost get in front of your guy and let him find the seam, because he's so elusive in the open field. And Toronto keeps shooting himself in the foot.
Holding wipes out a 52-yard return. Michael O'Shea will watch this replay on the Jumbotron. You can watch it with Glenn Suter drawing.
There's his feet. See the grab right on the shoulder pad at the last second there, and that's where the flags come out.
Argos with 4 receivers. Trips formation to the near side. Woody look to run. Then that looks like a live ball. This should be a touchdown. Hamilton. Ken Wilhite picks it up. 19-yard touchdown for the Tiger Cats. Flutie threw that behind to the pinball. He couldn't hang on to it. It bounced to Wilhite. Ticat touchdown.
Absolutely, John. Now, if Doug Flutie throws his ball when it was initially meant to be thrown, it's a forward pass. But he takes a couple of steps up into the line and then throws it, and it becomes a lateral. A lateral that drops is a live football, and Kenny Wilhite understood the rule, scooped it up, and took off.
Ticats have the lead with 4:33 to play, third quarter. Ken Wilhite, an all-star in Ottawa in 1996. Couple of knockdowns prior to this touchdown return to put the Ticats on top. Osbaldiston adds to the Hamilton total. Strange turn of events. The graphic is correct, folks. Ticats lead the Argonauts 17-13. Celebrating in the Ticat bench, Ken Wilhite, who has his first touchdown in the Canadian Football League. And frustration at the Argo bench. Don Matthews and quarterback Doug Flutie have fallen behind the Tiger Cats. It's 17-13 as the Cats get ready to kick off. Mike Saunders, first kick return as an Argonaut. Into a mess of folks down there, and he ran right into Kyle Walters. One more look at the TD. Well, maybe a couple. First, the reverse angle.
Oh, watch Doug Flutie step up right there. 4 or 5 steps and then throw it. The ball goes a little high. Mike Clemens can't hold on, but because he stepped up in the pocket, that's a live football. Kenny Wilhite scoops it up and scores the touchdown. Here's a look from the end zone. Flutie comes up in the play, thinks to run first. Then he knows that pinball's standing out there, so decides to dump it off, and Mike Clemens can't hang on.
Oh, my.
Well, Doug Flutie's been frustrated all day, and I had a feeling there he just wanted to go and hit somebody.
A 19-yard touchdown. The Ticats on top. Argos get the ball back. Flutie shovels it ahead for Drummond. And that'll be a big first down. Nice run by Robert Drummond, who was slowed by Hitchcock and finally dragged down, I think, by Justin Ring.
And, John, a nice variation to this shovel pass, because Toronto's never run it on a bootleg. And that time, Doug Flutie faked to Clemens, bootlegged the other way, and then shovel passed it up front to Robert Drummond. And that's a variation that, well, I know I haven't seen from Toronto this season.
17 yards, first down, Toronto at the Argonaut 52. 3:17 to go, third quarter. Flutie, deep drop, near side, has Masati wrapped up in a hurry by Justin Ring, but Masati very close to a first down. Eric Tillman, the, what is he, general manager of the Toronto Argonauts in Maine?
Yes, he is the general manager, making notes.
And Matthews is a vice president and coach. Interesting terminologies.
Well, I think Garrett Tillman takes care of the administration part of the company, and of course Don Matthews takes control of all the football operations and of course coaching.
This is 2nd and inches. Flutie may not have it.
Boy,
I think he was stuffed.
he didn't.
Now there are flags all over the place. The ball swings loose, but I think that was well after the whistle. Indication down there that there might have been a face mask. We'll let them sort it out at field level with 2:26 to go, 3rd quarter. It's the Ticats on top, just like you said they would be at this stage of things.
Now, wait a minute. I don't remember
I want to give you
that.
full credit.
I don't remember saying that, but you know, you just look at these guys' face and how they're fighting after plays, and take a look at the two
Major
coaches.
foul, face mask, Toronto number 2, 3rd down.
That's frustration.
Oh, boy. Well, Doug Flutie was not going anywhere on this sneak. You see, he didn't move an inch on it. Got hit in the face. I can't pick out the number of who exactly. Oh, it was Joe Mumford who slapped him on the helmet. And that's when Flutie reached over and grabbed Mumford's face mask.
An interesting turn of events at Skydome.
John, I have never seen Doug Flutie this frustrated. He is a very competitive person, and I talked to him before the game and looked into his eyes, and I said, you know, that game last week must be bothering you right now. And he says, I'm looking forward to this one and erasing the memories, and he hasn't been able to. It's frustrating for him.
Vanderjack on 3rd down across the 35 to get a high kick away. Aaron Ruffin had difficulty hanging on to it. Now he squirts his way through, and another marker down in the area of the tackle. Let's bring in Gino Retta, who's listening in at the Argo bench.
John, it's interesting. Every time Doug Flutie's coming off the sidelines now, coming onto the sidelines, he's really, really getting upset right now. He's yelling at the water boys. He's bringing his offensive linemen aside. He's yelling at them. He's yelling at his receivers. Right now, he's really out of control on the sidelines.
Another look at the most recent frustration.
Well, he gets slapped in the head, no question about it, by Joe Mumford, but
he wasn't going down. He wasn't surrendering there.
No, that was straight out, just wanting to get in a bit of a fist fight there from Doug Flutie, and boy, you don't see that very often.
Ticats on top, 17-13. Penalty on the return was against Hamilton. Blocking infraction. Ticats forced to begin at the 7. Here's Colley. He has Smith. Smith has a 1st down. Ashande Smith wrapped up by Michael O'Shea. Coming into the game, only 3 receptions for 21 yards for Smith. He's had a pretty good night tonight.
Well, I like the way Mike Colley is stepping up in the pocket. Rolls out, takes a couple steps up, and fires a strike across his body to Ashande Smith.
First down, Tiger Cats. Now out at the 23. Behind Smith that time from Colley, who rushed it a little bit. Was it deflected?
Yeah, Reggie Givens got his hands up from the edge and deflected that one just enough to keep it out of Ashante Smith's hands. So he's going to come off the top of your screen, the right-hand side of your screen, just jumps up and gets the left hand on it and deflects it just enough.
Ashande Smith, a couple of catches in his first CFL touchdown in this one. Ticats looking at 2nd and 10. 3 receivers to the far side. Colley calls the signals, and he calls his own number. Broke 1 tackle, and he stopped short of the 1st down. Wrapped up by Ken Benson. Still a gain of 8.
Well, not a bad decision initially for Mike Colley to take off with this one, because he's going to run the option again. It's going to come right at you. You see a alley open up right there, and he takes off, but Michael O'Shea, who is so quick to the football, scrapes over there and makes initial contact.
Colley has beaten O'Shea about 3 times tonight. I mean, the tackle was made there, Suits, but O'Shea was beaten.
Yeah,
he was around and behind him. Interesting stuff. Osbaldiston at the 17. This one off his foot. Bouncing to pinball. I should say off the side of his foot. Most kicks are off the punter's foot, but that time off the side. And around the 40. Let's see what Flutie dreams up here now.
Well, he's had a few discussions with Paul Mazzotti and had another one coming out onto the field. You see your leaders. Of course, Mike Colley doing a nice job running the football, and even though Doug Flutie is the game leader in passing, 172 yards with 3/4 pretty much gone, it's kind of low for the number 2.
Mazzotti to the near side. Demtrition, one of 2 receivers to the far side of the field. 1st and 10 Argos. The pinball makes the catch and may have a first down depending on where they spot it. Good effort by Mike Clemens on the final play of the 3rd quarter with the Argos trailing the Ticats by 4. An interesting night at Skydome and lots more ahead. Big finish almost guaranteed on the CFL Live as we send you back to control.
Rod Smith back with Obi, Les, and Marty. Choose your story. Once again, the Ticat defense coming up strong. But, Marty, for the 3rd straight week, Doug Flutie has become frustrated by a defense. Very frustrated tonight. I don't think, in fact, I've ever seen him so frustrated.
Yeah, and Glenn Suter said the same thing. He said he's never seen Doug Flutie this frustrated. But let me take it a step further. I've never seen him play this poorly. You're right, 3 consecutive poor games, and the face mask was just inexcusable. He's blaming everybody else, but I think he should start blaming himself. There's been some poor passes.
Well, you can't really blame him on that the fumble that was recovered for a touchdown, because that went right through Mike's hands.
Yeah,
he
Pinball should have had that one, I think. But he's right now, Flutie is being outshone by a raw rookie.
But wait a minute.
Well, they're winning, but I don't know if he's being outshone.
I think Ollie's playing better.
You know, one thing, there's 2 things in this game looking at the Toronto offense. Number one is it looks like they're lacking receivers. They brought Mike Saunders in for Melville, and I don't think Mike's even been in the ball game as far as getting any passes. And then they got 2 offensive linemen out of there, Pierre Vircheval and Willie Williams. And you're going with 2 pure rookies in there, and you can see by getting stuffed on a quarterback sneak and some of those holding calls, all those things are disruptive to the offense right now.
Well, I know that Hamilton's talking to Earl Winfield right now, and maybe try to bring him back. But I think Toronto could use some help from a top gun receiver, too.
You're right.
Yeah, either team could use him right now.
Yeah, it's the easiest thing in the world to say, but yeah, Doug Flutie is having his troubles, but I'd still have him on my team. Now,
of course you'd have him on. He's the best player in the league. But
let me go back to your point, though. I mean, have defenses become wise to the way he plays? I mean, I don't think it's so much diminishing skills myself.
Well, I know that he made a statement that they should not be allowed to rush 3 people on him, and that was probably a bad comment, because every team that he faces now is going to rush 3 guys against him.
They're having a lot of success so far. Once again, the Ticats seem to have figured Flutie out, at least for now. It is Toronto down by 4, heading to the 4th quarter. Back to Skydome now, guys.
Doug Flutie and the Argonauts trying to end the frustration that the Tiger Cats have put in their path tonight. Hamilton on top as the 4th quarter begins. Drummond off left tackle for a couple. And Joe Montford has played a big part in things for the Tiger Cats again here.
Well, Doug Flutie trying to figure out a way to get it to the outside and get everybody involved. Mike Clemens, one of those guys, and held short of the first down there, but been a frustrating night for Don Matthews. And
subsequent play, the first down, Toronto. Demtrition couldn't hang on. Don Matthews has been thinking a little bit. There might be a tendency for teams to squeeze the field on Flutie. We've got to find a way to spread the field out through 3 quarters. He hasn't found a way, has he?
Yeah, and that one play to pinball was one way, but just can't run that one every time. They've tried to run the football a little bit to hopefully get those linebackers for Hamilton to sneak up a little bit, but that's not working either right now.
Field. 2nd and 10, Toronto. Flutie gets a little heat, got it away, and almost picked off. Hitchcock had an opportunity from his safety spot. Demtrition appeared to be the intended receiver.
Well, Rob Hitchcock
is quickly getting a reputation as one of the hardest hitting safeties in the league.
That's because he used to be a linebacker.
Yeah, and he comes across, and Demtrician is going down the seam, and I have a feeling he may have heard Rob Hitchcock coming. Calvin Tiggle was coming on the stunt and came free. See, Chad Folk didn't pick him up from the outside, and Doug Flutie thought he was going to get smacked on that one.
Vanderjack. Steinhauer the return for the Tiger Cats. Chased down by Michael O'Shea. No return. In fact, a loss of a couple after a 42-yard punt. Numbers through 3 quarters, 200 net yards for the Argonauts. Time of possession fairly close, and on the scoreboard, it's a 4-point game.
Yeah, and you see the turnovers. Of course, one, Kenny Wilhite fumble recovery, and he takes it in for a touchdown, and that's why Hamilton right now has the lead.
Collie 70 rushing yards as the starting quarterback for the Tiger Cats. That's been his most effective weapon. Carrying the ball himself. Ticats beginning at the 15 with a first down. Amerson gets the pitch. He's run well for Hamilton. Can't quite turn the corner. Lester Smith forced him out.
It's just straight out speed to the outside by Archie Amerson, who just takes this ball, gets a couple of blocks from his receivers on that side of the field, and then just uses his speed to try and get down the field, as you saw Bert Thornton come down, and then better get out of the way, coming to the sideline that quickly.
Eight yards to gain. This will be 2nd and 2, Tiger Cats. We're into the 4th quarter with the Ticats on top, 17-13. Amerson has the first down and broke through to the 35. I like this guy. Archie Amerson playing his 2nd game for Hamilton.
Good job of blocking at the point of attack by center Doug Davies. He's right here. Amerson's going to take a step and hit it right up in the hole. Watch the block that springs Amerson. Good block at the point of attack. He breaks 1 tackle, 2 tackles there by Reggie Givens, and then breaks up through the middle.
13 carries for 70 yards. The last a 12-yard gain for Archie Amerson. Fake to Amerson that time. Colley to his right finds Morreale. And Morreale is halfway to a first down. First catch for Morreale. Johnny Harris made the tackle.
This is called selling out the bootleg. Mike Colley's going to bootleg, but look at this side of the offensive line is going to pull this way. This is called selling the play and then running the bootleg. Both offensive linemen take off. Fake it. The defensive line is trained to read the pulling guards and the pulling tackles. When they read the pull, they went with the running play, and Colley went the other way.
Ticats actually looking at 2nd and 6. Colley, all kinds of time. Now it evaporates on him. This one up for grabs, or at least just got rid of that.
Yeah, threw it away. Threw it away, and a good decision, John. It's been amazing what this rookie quarterback, the decisions he's made throughout this football game. Mike Colley made another good one on that instance to just roll out, throw the ball into the stands. Don't lose any more yardage. Have your punt team come on. And remember, this Hamilton defense has been playing pretty good football so far.
We're still wondering why Colley did not start the 2nd quarter for the Tiger Cats. It'll be interesting to hear the strategy behind that, because he did engineer a 1st quarter touchdown. And right now the Tiger Cats have the lead on the Argonauts at 17-13. Osbaldiston nails another beauty well over the pinball's head. You can't ask for a much better punt than that. Rolling out with no return. 11:21 to go after a 58-yard Osbaldiston punt. Those Ticats have the lead. Quite a night for Paul Osbaldiston, averaging 44.6 yards per punt.
Well, he had 1 block last week, and we did a little research and tried to figure out exactly what time you should get the punt off from snap to kick. Preferred 2.3, too fast if it's a 2.1. Now let's take a look at that last play. Here comes the snap. There goes the kick right there.
2:03, well within the time. Almost too quick, but Paul Osbaldiston was right in his rhythm. So as long as he's in his rhythm, it's not too fast.
Playing with a bit of a bad back after taking a hit in the opening quarter, John Tory, chairman of the Canadian Football League, joins us. Interesting football evening. You were picking the Ticats, I heard on the radio, I thought. No?
Well, yeah, it's not a very well played game. I'm very impressed. I don't pick anybody in these games. So I'm impressed with Mike Colley's play tonight. And it's not a well played game, but the fans will enjoy it. It's close.
Flutie on first down, under the cover. He has Saunders. First catch is an Argonaut. Forced out near the 35. Well, as the chairman of the CFL, there's never a dull moment. We'll get to a couple of those topics in just a moment, Mr. Torrey.
Well, this is why Mike Saunders is in the lineup, because he can recognize things. He gets jammed but keeps working. He recognizes the defense and realizes the only way he's going to get the football is to clear through the linebacker, so he keeps working at it and catches the ball.
23 yards for number 32 for the Argos. Mike Saunders. First down, Toronto, 35. Flutie looks to shovel it ahead. Now, away from Philbrick. Mazzatti makes the catch, should have a first down. Orlando Steinauer, the tackle on Mazzatti. These two are back on the same page.
You can't ask your defensive front three to pursue better than this. Justin Ring, you see Gonzalo Floyd come across. Mike Philbrick's in there trying to get it Flutie. There's Mike Campbell late. They've been doing a pretty good job, not only shutting down the run from Toronto, but also frustrating Flutie.
Now at the Argonaut 48, first down, Toronto. Direct snap to Drummond. And he's about halfway to a first down. Montford the stop one more time. '53's had a nice night.
Well, he's got such great speed. He's a good pass rusher, can also drop for the Hamilton Ticat defense, and he slid across, made a pretty good play. I got one question for John Tory, though.
Okay.
NFL marketing people were in town. What came from the meeting?
Well, 7 of them came to Montreal, and what they really told us is get to the grassroots, get to the community football leagues, get to the kids, get to the youth groups. And so we're going to act on that and get some help from the players, get some help from really everybody in the CFL to get this game down to the grassroots and resurrect that kind of interest that existed years ago. It's still pretty good in the West, but we need to work hard on the East in Montreal, Toronto, Hamilton, and really get to work on getting back to the grassroots and filling these seats. It's a better crowd here tonight, but we've got lots of seats yet to fill.
Darryl Mitchell made the catch for another Toronto first down as this drive continues. Argonauts out across midfield into Ticat territory at the Hamilton 47. Markers down. Montford chasing Flutie. Pinball was the intended receiver. He got turned around. What about the search for a commissioner, Mr. Chairman?
Still searching, and I'm actually Mr. Acting Commissioner, too, so there's no one who wants it to be over more than me. But we got to find the right guy, and if that takes a little time, then so be it. But we're looking hard, and I hope we'll have some news soon. But we got to find the right candidate.
Toronto number 32, decline. Second down.
Now, John, there's no problem finding negative things to say about the CFL, but there's been some positive things, and one has been the play on the field this year and some of the close games.
Well, you know, I think what's been great is that people on TV, people on radio, people in the papers have been talking about what's going on the field, and that's really what we should have all the time. I mean, no one wants to hear about our business problems, so we shouldn't have any business problems, and then no one will talk about them. So we tried to fix that up.
2nd and 10, Toronto. Flutie looks over the middle. Kerwan made the catch. Andre Kerwan with a big catch for the Argonauts.
Oh, and he took a hit, John. He took a big hit and hung on to the football. Andre Kerwan read the defense, slid through into the open area for Doug Flutie, but he took a huge hit from Eric Carter right after he catches it. Watch this, coming up. Here comes 2. Oh, Andre Kerwan did a nice job of hanging on to that ball with a hit like that, and he's down right now.
30 yards the gain for Andre Kerwan. Talking to Mazzatti down there. 2 receptions for 46 yards for the rookie born in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Let's take another look at that hit and how it sounded to be Andre Kerwin and catch this ball over the middle. Eric Carter come up and put the hit on you.
Woohoo! A little wobbly.
You know what I love?
He's all right down there. You can see him smiling a little bit. He looks to be winded.
You know what I love about Andre Kerwin? Jumped up. And that's the old pride thing. You get hit hard like that, as a receiver, you don't want the defensive back to know that you've been in. So you jump right up, try to get to the sideline, and if you're going to lie down on the sideline. Now, Andre Kerwin didn't quite make it to the sideline, but he did a good job of just trying to get up.
A great drive for the Argonauts. Down near the 17-yard line now. This drive began at the Toronto 12. 81 yards later, the Argos have another first down after a big 30-yard gain. Flutie has solved some problems with the Ticat defense. More there. Darryl Mitchell. 5 catches, 82 yards, and a touchdown last week, leading the Argonaut receivers coming in. Other positive signs when you look around the CFL this season, the talent level seems to be terrific, John.
Absolutely, and I think the competition is even. You know, a lot of the teams out west were complaining that there wasn't a level playing field. They were blaming the people failing to adhere to the salary caps, and I think if we can enforce the rules, there'll be a level playing field. That makes for more exciting football. Everybody can win and lose an even number of games, and we'll take it right down to the Grey Cup.
Get out and find a commissioner now, and you can relax a little bit.
We'll do our best. Thanks.
Thanks to John Tolan. Touchdown to the Argonauts. Robert Drummond.
You know it has to be a matter of time for Doug Flutie before he will get a drive going.
Argonauts back in the lead by a couple of points. The drive was marvelous, and then Flutie found Drummond.
Watch the misdirection. First of all, Doug Flutie's going to take off to his right. All the defenders for the Hamilton defense took off to try and catch him to the outside, and when they did that, they overran the play, and Flutie threw it back to Drummond.
6:47 to go in the final quarter at Skydome. Robert Drummond has his 4th touchdown of the season, and he takes a bow. Robert Drummond found the end zone 8 plays after this drive began. Flutie 5 of 6 on the drive. It covered 98 yards. Drummond a 4-yard catch. Toronto on top by 3 at 20-17.
Well, Doug Flutie said that he hadn't lost 2 games in a row in 5 years, and Gino Reda just mentioned that he was talking to Robert Drummond, and Drummond said, I've never lost 2 in a row.
Aaron Ruffin with a great return for the Tiger Cats out near the 45. 36 on the return, and the Ticats with 6:39 to go have decent field position with Mike Colley coming in.
Just a great misdirection play by Doug Flutie to get the defense to flow to him and then throw back against the grain to Robert Drummond.
A masterful drive by Flutie. Mazzotti was in on it. And now it's Colley's turn. Ticats begin at the 46. 1st and 10. Trailing by 3. Amerson forced deep into the backfield and lose yards.
Now, he didn't make the tackle, John, but Michael O'Shea is the reason the play didn't work. He got great penetration on the play and forced Archie Amerson to bounce to the outside. This is called reestablishing the line of scrimmage. See how he beats the block by Jude St. John, gets up in the backfield, and then really Archie Amerson has no chance on the play.
Loss is 4, 2nd and 14 Ticats now. Thomas heads out. 4 receivers to the far side. Colley looking to take out away from 1. Grabbed about 4 yards, but he was slowed and then brought down from behind by Reggie Gibbons.
Well, they were are coming, John. Toronto sent Lester Smith from the top left hand of your screen on a blitz. Also, Ken Benson from the linebacker position was coming. That's why Colley was flushed out, and then down he goes. And Bert Thornton working on Adrian Smith. Was he open? Was he interfered with? Well, Adrian Smith did a pretty good job of recovering, even though he slipped on the play.
We're looking at an infraction. The flag down near the 50-yard line. And I can't pick out the number here on the injured Tiger Cat.
Mike Colley is down, I believe, John. He, of course, was tackled by about 4 Argos on the play.
That would explain the penalty, late hit.
Well, here's Andrew Stewart, Reggie Gibbons hitting Colley. Here comes Ken Benson, and there's O'Shea, who came down late on the play. You see him try and throw that helmet shoulder in there. He was the 3rd guy in, I believe, on the pile.
Well, Mike Colley has run extremely well as a Tiger Cat quarterback. His passing numbers have not been exceptional, but he had Hamilton close enough to take the lead. So another quarterback bites the dust for the Tiger Cats. Cavillo last week, Colley in relief.
Whoa.
Penalty. Still 3rd down.
Well, it was 91, and it's Demetrius Maxey. This is something that must have happened on the backside of the play or after the whistle had blown, because he was not involved in the actual tackle. That's Andrew Stewart. That's Reggie Gibbons, Ken Benson, and here comes Michael O'Shea. Now, he's not involved anywhere. You know, there's definitely... We definitely thought that Michael O'Shea had the late hit penalty, but Demetrius Maxey was on the backside. Now, the refs got the number wrong, but number 91 walked off the field.
Correction. The player was Toronto number 91. 91.
There's the correction. Right on, old Hawkeye. Number 91. Cavillo out on a big hit as the Tiger Cats tried to rally and come back against the Blue Bombers.
Yeah, and the Hamilton organization was not real happy about that hit and felt that when the quarterback slides feet first that he should be protected, and they sent the tapes into the league, and
to no avail. Nick Ferguson got a 15-yard penalty there, but there was no further action taken.
Anthony Cofield and the rest of the Hamilton Ticats obviously feel that the quarterbacks in this league should be protected.
A rule is a rule. With Kendrick Nord in at quarterback on 3rd down. It'll be a 1st down Tiger Cats. So now I see the strategy of putting Nord in the ball game in the 2nd quarter, just to get him a little playing time out there. Well, Mike Colley going to the sidelines, shaking up there.
Mike Colley looks okay. He's going to shake it off, but he has to stay out for at least 3 plays.
Kendrick Nord seeing his first action in a CFL regular season game. Amerson has run well for the Tiger Cats. As Amerson ran into Adrian Smith. 13 yards for Amerson, a headache for Smith.
Oh, hey, John, the booth shook on that hit.
Oh, not quite.
On the outside. Oh, we got to hear this hit again. Oh!
I mean, it was a big hit, and it was loud, but the booth did not shake.
I jumped a little bit up here. You got to love this game. That was a
lots of big hits
run,
this year.
And what a hit. Wow.
Another 13 for Amerson, closing in on 100. He's got 79. And he's got the ball again. Make that 86. It's been a busy night on the sidelines. Here's Gino.
Well, John, what happened was Colley got popped right in the middle of the back with what he thinks is a helmet. He came back saying, I just took a helmet in the back. I'm okay. Let me back in. He's actually getting pretty angry with everybody because they're insisting he stay off and loosen up. He took such a hard hit in the back, it actually undid his flak jacket. But now he's bouncing around, loosening up and saying, my back's fine. I want to get back in the game. I want to get back in the game.
In the meantime, Kendrick Nord has the Ticats on a bit of a march and looking at 2nd and 4. He's kept it on the ground. This is Marcus Thomas trying to turn the corner. And we'll see exactly where they spot the ball. Johnny Harris had Thomas wrapped up.
Well, it's about 2 yards short, John, but there was no decision for Don Southern. Paulus Wallison was halfway on the field. A great open field tackle by Johnny Harris. The pitch is early enough for Marcus Thomas to make a move, but that's open field with space around you, and Johnny Harris comes up and makes the play for the Argos.
It's a 3-point ball game. Osbaldiston is in. He missed his first, made his second. And he's in pretty good shape here. Hitting on 50% of his field goals all season long. This from 39 yards away with Andrew Briggs spotting. Ozzie has his second of the night. And we've got a tie game at 20. Just like Glenn Suter promised, this would go right down to the final few minutes at Skydome tonight. Join us tomorrow night, McMahon Stadium, Calgary, Rough Riders, Stampeders. How the fortunes have changed for these two teams. Big game tomorrow night for the Stampeders in particular. Big game tonight for the Tiger Cats, who are even with the Argonauts. Toronto first down. As Flutie looks for Drummond, he makes the catch. Took a hit, grabs the first down. All of that happened in about 2.5 seconds.
I don't know how Robert Drummond caught that football. He was in the crowd and just out-leaped everybody for the ball. I mean, great catch by Drummond.
Prior to that, Flutie, 21 of 38, 275 yards and a couple of touchdowns. He's even with the Ticats right now and looking at first down when we return to CFL Live. Doug Flutie has passed for 289 yards thus far tonight. Here's how he's spread it around.
Well, everyone's involved in the offense, John, but one thing that's interesting is that even though you see the slot backs in there and Mike Saunders, Andre Kerwan, and Dwayne Demetrician, who's been actually playing slot back in this game, most of those balls that he's completed have been to the outside the hash marks, out by the numbers and by the sidelines. Hamilton doing a pretty good job defensively of forcing Doug Flutie to do that.
Into the final 3 minutes now. The Argonauts first and 10 as the drive continues from the 49. Flutie on the run and rolling out. Has Pinball, who is neatly wrapped up in a heck of a hurry by Frank West, number 28. Nice looking play. Well defended by West.
Well, Frank West having a pretty good ball game. He had one penalty earlier, but he's had a couple of knockdowns and doing a pretty good job. And this after a game in Winnipeg where he sprained his ankle, and Don Southern really didn't think that he was going to play much tonight, but Frank West sucked it up and got back in the game.
Gain is 5 yards. 2:37 to go. It's all even at Skydome. Argonauts and Ticats, second meeting of the season. Flutie under the cover, almost picked out. At least the opportunity was there for Gerald Bond, who sort of had it under one wing for a split second.
Gerald Bond couldn't get his left hand around to get both hands on the football. Paul Mazzotti cuts under. Gerald Bond reads the mail perfectly and can't get that left arm around. He almost collars the football with the right arm and pulls it in.
Almost a one-armed interception. Argos will kick. 2:24 to go. Vanderkamp having a pretty nice night. Whoa. One of his better ones. Aaron Ruffin stopped in his tracks. Brendan Rodgers was there, I think, first. But he had help from Michael O'Shea, who's had another great ball game against his former team.
John Raposo as well. John was down there. Michael O'Shea coming into this game led the league in special teams tackles. And you got to remember, this is a guy who plays every down on defense. Flies to the football, and he's also leading the league in special teams tackles.
The update on the Ticat quarterback situation. Kendrick Nord is in with Mike Cawley watching from the sidelines. He was shaken up a couple of plays ago, but Cawley has done most of the offensive damage against the Argonauts as Nord gets a chance here and now with Cawley watching. Nord was nailed as he fired to the far side. Looking for Simmons, who snuck up from behind.
Whoa, I can't believe that Kendrick Nord just got up. I looked straight down to the bench to see if Cauley would start warming up again, because Reggie Givens puts the Rydell sticker on the front of his helmet right in the middle of the back, right there of Kendrick Nord. You want to play quarterback in this league? Yikes. No, thank you.
2nd and 10, Ticats. 2:08 on the clock. We're all even at 20-20 at Skydome. Kendrick Nord. Amerson. A little bit of a delay as Amerson turns the corner. He'll have the first down. Closing in on 100 yards is Archie Amerson. 11 on that carry, and he's got 96 total.
The nice thing about Archie Amerson is he's got good feet, good quickness at the point of attack to be able to bounce to the outside. Takes the strike, takes the speed to the outside. Little straight arm right there on Ken Benson, and then works to the outside. I mean, Ken Benson is a strong linebacker, and Archie Amerson at 175 pounds just stood him up with one arm.
17th carry for Amerson. He has 96. The key first down for the Tiger Cats.
Oh, no.
Amerson again, a little center step in the backfield. And he's wrapped up by Andrew Stewart, 73.
Well, Hamilton Ticats trying not to force anything in this situation, this point on the field with just 1:54 left. You know, Don Southern likes to keep the ball on the ground, and if he can churn up some yardage before he can get a little breathing room behind him before he throws that ball down the field.
Toronto.
And the Argos will try and make the Ticats think about this. Hamilton wants to retain possession of the football, obviously, but after only picking up 3.5, 4 yards on the previous play, Cauley now comes into the game, suggesting they may try and run a little bit more.
Well, I'm surprised he didn't start the series, because Gino Reda mentioned that Cauley was on the sideline talking about the fact that he was ready. He shook off the injury. He was ready to go back in the football game.
But every quarterback will tell you that.
Well, hey, he's been playing well. Put him in.
He has run exceptionally well. Mike Cauley started the game, and it's been an interesting dispersal of quarterback time. 2nd down. And a whole bunch. Cauley puts it up, fired it behind Amerson. The Argos are going to get it back.
And I think it may be just deflected a bit at the line of scrimmage, John. Just caused the ball to go a little bit behind Archie Amerson. Take a look and see if this ball was deflected as he threw it. Reggie Givens working on the outside. Got his hand up, his right arm, and just deflected that football. Amerson couldn't come up with it. It's a couple of knockdowns for Reggie Givens off the edge.
1:49 to go. 2 back for the Argos. Osbaldiston standing near his 10. Big play here for Ticats special teams. Osbaldiston not his deepest, bouncing to pinball at the 45. Little lane opened up. He's to the 52 and dropped there. Donovan Wright on the tackle. 1:39. And the Ticats have to wonder about their chances now with the master Flutie heading out onto the field. All he needs is a single point for the win, and he can run down the clock here.
And you would think, John, in most circumstances, when you have Doug Flutie coming out in field midfield with 1:39, I would agree with you. But Hamilton has been playing well all game, has frustrated Flutie more than once, and I would feel pretty confident if I was on Hamilton's defense right now that we could stop him 2 and out, give the ball back to Mike Cauley.
Ticat defense has played well. Flutie has been frustrated, but the last time he had his hands on the ball, he was pretty impressive with a long drive. From the shotgun on 1st down. Here's the heat. Flutie eludes it. Fires on the run. Has Mazzotti out of bounds. Mazzotti made the catch on the line and rolled out.
John, Gonzalo Floyd has done such a nice job all game for Hamilton of keeping Flutie in the pocket. And here's one that you got to give to Flutie. Number 90 at the top of your screen got a little impatient and tried to cut underneath him. Flutie bounces
to the outside. See, there's Gonzalo Floyd. Gets underneath. Flutie gets outside, is allowed to throw that football, and he hooks up with Mazzotti, and I guess they've made up.
That was an interesting story earlier in the game. Mazzotti and Flutie not exactly on the same page, to put it mildly. Flutie will carry himself. Little quarterback run. He gets it done. Another Toronto first down. Carter made the tackle on the other, number 2.
Well, Doug Flutie knows when he puts empty in the backfield, he needs 2 blocks. One here and one right here. If he gets those 2 blocks, he gets a seam. So he's going to call his own number. Now, the block went the other way for Kislak, but he still gets a seam and breaks to the outside. And when he empties the backfield, Doug Flutie knows he only needs 2 blocks to string it.
With 1:15 to go, the Argonauts are poised on the Ticat 32. It's a tie game at Skydome. Low snap. Here's Drummond. Breaking away and out at the 5-yard line. Robert Drummond, 57 seconds on the clock. He picks up 30. And this is what the Ticats were afraid of.
John, this is Robert Drummond all the way. This is number 29's play. The snap is low and the play is dead in the water in the backfield, but Drummond will not give up. Kelvin Tiggle has him wrapped up. He breaks through the arms of Tiggle, and it's a one-man show for Robert Drummond. That's called great second effort from a tailback.
All the way down to the 1-yard line, where the Argonauts will have 3 cracks at it with 57 seconds left on the clock. Drummond got the call, spun out, and touchdown. One-yard touchdown for Robert Drummond. Impressive drive for the Argonauts, who have a 6-point lead. Second touchdown of the ball game for Robert Drummond.
And John, if they're on the 40-yard line, I'm talking about the Argos, Robert Drummond is still running. It was the same play. He breaks the tackle at the line of scrimmage and punches it in the end zone.
It took a while to solve these Hamilton Tiger Cats. No question about that. But the Argos now have the 6-point advantage, and Vanderjack in to convert and make it 7.
And the 2 guys who talked about not losing 2 in a row before the game were the 2 key guys on that drive.
Markers are down on the convert. Likely won't mean a whole bunch, no matter what the infraction. An interesting night. The Tiger Cats gave the Argonauts all they could handle, and look at the clock right now. There's still time for Hamilton.
Toronto number 56.
Reporting again. Michael O'Shea has to come out and report if he's going to line up as a wingback because of the number he wears. He really only has to do it once, but I guess he was just playing it safe. He said, I'm going to report again. Seems like we're going to run the play again. I'm in the game. I'm wearing number 50.
Seven points, the advantage for the Argonauts. 53 seconds on the clock. The Ticats aren't quite dead yet. The touchdown from 1 yard out by Robert Drummond.
You know, the story on Robert Drummond is his leg strength, and it's very evident on this play. Justin Ring and Joe Mumford hit him in the hole. He spins off, and the great leg strength gets him in the end zone. Is Don Matthews pumped up about it? Yeah, not yet. Not yet. Because there's still time on the clock, and he saw one slip away in Saskatchewan a few days ago.
The play before that by Drummond was rather dramatic. It got the Argonauts down to the 1. He appeared to be stopped in the backfield on the previous play as well. Low snap. Flutie just picked it up and put it in his mitts, and Drummond broke out of there and got all the way down to the 1.
And some running ability of Flutie on the drive as well. It breaks contain on first down and then
Saw the quarterback draw. I mean, that's what we expected to see all game from those two players. And knew it was a matter of time before we'd see it.
Less than minutes ago, Ticats get one more opportunity here. Kickoff coming down to Aaron Ruffin. And it was pretty evident that the Argonauts were going to have that special teams play.
Well, pick a card. Sorry, John. Pick a card, any card. Who will be the quarterback for this series?
Well, I'm picking Mike Colley.
Guess what? You got the right card.
Colley ran effectively in the opening quarter, drove for a touchdown for the Tiger Cats. Didn't start the second quarter, was shaken up in the third quarter. And now he has 48 seconds to play with. A touchdown to get even with the Argonauts. Far side has Smith. Or Mike Moriali, I should say. Second catch for Moriali.
You know, I just want to make one point, John, about this Hamilton team. This is 2 times now that they've held Toronto in this powerful offense. 2 times that they've been close. And regardless of the outcome of this football game, Don Southern, Anthony Calvillo, and the rest of this team have got to feel that they're awfully close. You can play the defending Grey Cup champions as close as they have twice, once in your park and once in theirs. You got to be close.
Simmons flips to Smith. A little flea flicker. Ticats will get a first down, but Smith had to get out of bounds more quickly than that. Charlie Simmons made the catch, the old flea flicker.
Ashante Smith with the old flea flicker. Great to see this play back in the game. I don't think I've seen this till you go back to the old days when it was game film, not game tape. But he gets the flea flicker to the outside, and then I think he got spun around and started running the wrong way. I think Don Southern was yelling, just get out of bounds.
Get out, they did, but there's only 18 seconds left on the clock. Tiger Cats at the 42. First and 10. Colley shotgun. Has to look deep. As Smith with 12 seconds to go down at the 50-yard line. Remember, the Ticats need a touchdown. 18 yards to gain there.
Well, Mike Colley was...
Hamilton.
Mike Colley was scrambling to get the timeout, but he didn't really have to worry about the time because it's not going to start until the ref gets it down in the field. But watch how quickly he tries to get that timeout called. He thinks he's going to lose some time, so he's scrambling to find an official. Somebody
look at me.
Timeout. No, please, timeout. Anybody, timeout. Timeout, please. Timeout. Okay?
Finally track someone down. Jake already did that.
Thank you. Okay, we have a timeout. Good.
11 seconds on the clock on the scoreboard.
Well, you need 7, so you got to go. You got 2 shots. With 11 seconds, if you can get one off in a hurry, you may have one more chance at the end zone. And, well, the Argos secondary is going to be way back.
Ticats need a touchdown to get even. Colley pump fakes once, looking for Thornton. Jump ball. Thornton's got it. The catch made at the 15-yard line.
John, there's 3 seconds left. The Bert Thornton comes up with a real catch.
Ticats will have one chance to make it to the end zone with 3 seconds, thanks to Bert Thornton. 34 yards, his second catch of the ball game. This is pretty.
Check the catch out. He goes to the corner and is double covered. Adrian Smith and Antonio Spotter on the sideline, and he pulls it in with one arm.
So one chance to get to the end zone. The Ticats have to make this one count. 3 seconds on the clock. Mike Colley at the controls, trying to find someone. He won't get it away. Zeros on the clock, no flags on the field, and the Argos have the victory. Reggie Gibbons wrapped up the rookie Ticat quarterback, Mike Colley. But the Cats took the Argos down in the final seconds and had have them worried much of this football game at Skydome.
Oh, you got to believe that. And like we talked about earlier, regardless of the outcome of this football game and Hamilton losing, Mike Cauley looked very poised. He ran the ball well. He threw the ball well when he had to. And this Hamilton team is very close.
Last week, the Rough Riders. This week, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And the week before, the Tiger Cats. I think the jury is still out on those who suggested that the Toronto Argonauts are the best team ever created in the CFL. What do you say?
I would tend to agree.
Argos by a touchdown over the Cats. Time now for tonight's TSN Turning Point. I love it when it happens in the fourth quarter.
Well, it came late in the fourth quarter. A low snap. Doug Flutie somehow picks it up, but watch the second effort from Robert Drummond to break the tackles at the line of scrimmage, get right down to the 1-yard line. He would score the winning 6 points right after that play.
A cash donation will be made to the Coaching Association of Canada for the training and development of coaches in amateur sport on behalf of TSN's Turning Points. Argos battle all the way. We'll be back with Doug Flutie on CFL Live from Skydome.
Week 4 in the CFL. Already the Argos and Ticats have faced each other twice, and Toronto has won both games, and yet by a total of 12 points. Many thought it would be more. In the end, though, the Argos, despite a lot of frustrations, especially on offense, coming through, taking this one 27-20, led, of course, by quarterback Doug Flutie, who in the end, turns out, you look at the numbers, having a pretty good day, although it looked early on, Doug, like a frustrating one. Can you characterize this win for me?
Yeah, it's just a hard-fought win. You know, we've got to, anytime you step on the field, you've got to work your butt off to win a game. I mean, there's a lot of parity across the league right now. And, you know, with the league cut down from, say, 12 teams down to 8, the talent is pretty dense right now. So you've got to fight your tail off to win every single game.
Hey, Doug, it's Les Brown.
Yep.
The last 3 weeks, we've seen you not vintage Doug Flutie. Is it the defenses that they're throwing at you that's really confusing you guys?
Nothing's confusing me. We just got a lot of young guys in there, and we're making a lot of mistakes right now. It's not confusing so much as we've got to execute. We've got some talented people, but we have to execute what we're doing. And like I said, the defenses in the league are more talented than they've been in years.
Doug, it's Bob Obilovich. One of the things that looking at your offense, and you've got probably 2 of the best running backs as far as overall athletic ability. I mean, one's tall, one's short, but those guys give you a lot of opportunities to do things that a lot of teams can't do, and that seemed to get you out of trouble tonight when you were looking for something.
It really does. We can match Drummond up on a linebacker or a pinball versus a nickel back, and he just puts a little stick move and beats a guy to the flat, and there's a 5 to 8 yard gain. Drummond obviously coming out of, running the football at the end of the game. He wanted it and broke the tackles and got all the way down there and stuck it in the end zone on just as good a run. So they make our offense very versatile. They allow us to line up in a 6-receiver set, yet when we need to, we can jump in 2 backs.
Doug, it's Marty York. Have you ever been called for a face mask penalty before?
I don't believe so. I've been called for late hits and unnecessary roughness and things like that, but I don't know if I got a face mask. I was just trying to basically hold him away from me because I thought he hit me a little bit late. I was standing up. The whistle had blown, but I was still standing up, so he went ahead and took a shot. And then I was just trying to push him away and grabbed his face mask to do so.
Doug, I also noticed there were a couple of animated conversations between you and one of your favorite receivers, Paul Masadi. What was going on there?
Paul and no, there were some animated actions in some other situations, but never towards Paul. Paul and I really listen to Paul. Paul sees coverage very well, and he reads things and knows what's happening out there secondary-wise. So I really respect his point of view. And after each series, I'll come over and ask him, and we'll talk. I might be yelling and screaming while I'm talking to him, but I'm not ever yelling at Paul.
Right.
Doug, given the loss at Taylor Field, I read some quotes afterwards. You were frustrated by all this talk about, world's best team at 18-0 and all that. And we could have a different debate on how that all started, but just how did the team respond to all that? You get the loss out of the
we don't really care. We could care less about what people want to predict for us, and You know, I know that Marty wrote that article a while back before the regular season. He predicted we'd go 18-0.
I quoted you too, though.
You never quoted me, Marty. In that interview, there was a radio interview I did that Marty happened to be sitting in on, and he asked me about this 18-0 talk, and I said, it's ridiculous. The front office decided we were going to be the best ever, and that's how they were going to market the team. We never said that. Me personally, I never said. I said every time we step on the field, we have an opportunity to win, just like any other team.
Fair enough. We've cleared that up, and no more talking. But 17-1 as well. I don't want to get you any more agitated. So thanks a lot for joining us. Congratulations.
All right, guys. Take it easy.
Doug Flutie, quarterback for the Argos, victorious tonight. And victorious in the end, I think, in a good way. It didn't look so good at halftime and a lot of questions. But I think in the end, you did see a little bit more of the Argo team that was a Grey Cup champion before. In the end, would you agree?
Well, yeah. In the end, they came along. Well, basically, Hamilton helped them. Hamilton's defense played outstanding the whole game except for the last drive. When the turning point, as Glenn pointed out, the ball was dropped on the ground. Drummond picks it up. 4 people missed that tackle, and he runs it down to the 3-yard line. That's unexcusable.
But at the same time, like I said, those two guys, Michael Clements and Drummond, as big as he is at 215 pounds and a running back, he's a strong guy.
Coach, those were 2 linebackers hitting him.
I don't care who was hitting him. He made the second effort, and there's a lot of backs in this league that wouldn't do that.
You know, I think the question now is, did the Ticats play well enough to allow Don Southern to keep his job? And I doubt it. But I think you're still going to see a change. I think the Ticats owners have to throw the fans in Hamilton something. And the leading candidate to replace Southern would be his offensive line coach, Urban Bowman, because they won't have to pay him an extra salary. Hal Murphy's a possibility. John Huffnagel, maybe in about a month from now. And Bob O'Billovich.
We have a few people that want a rebuttal here, I think.
Yes, Les.
No,
I want to throw my name in the hat.
Hey, I personally think, watching this game tonight, I think the Hamilton team played hard and could have won that football game. And I think that's a tribute to Coach Southern, that his players played as hard as we thought they might at the beginning of the game. And I hope that doesn't happen after this game.
Well, I was very impressed with the way Colley played today. I mean, this is his first full game, although he didn't get an opportunity to play a full game, and that's another question mark. What was Southern doing with the musical quarterbacks?
Yeah, that's the thing that confuses me as well. I mean, you stick Ken Nordrick, what's the kid's name? Kendrick Nord. You stick him in there in the second quarter, pull him back out, and then you shove him back in there. I don't understand that either. And that's the only thing that could go against Coach Sutherland when it comes to that decision on whether to keep him or let him go.
Well, some positive things for the Ticats again, but once again, nothing to show for it as they go to 0-4, and with Calgary, 2 teams without a win. Now, the one team without a loss, the Montreal Alouettes, taking on the Eskimos in Edmonton tonight in Commonwealth Stadium. It is Edmonton, and a 1-yard plunge by Danny McManus. Maybe a bit of a surprise here, although the Eskimos, an excellent team, first in the West, looking to rebound after a horrible loss to the BC Lions last week. It is all Edmonton so far in the second quarter. As for here, Robert Drummond, the touchdown that gives the Argos the victory. CFL Live returns right after this.